Phillies on the Mexican WBC team this spring will lead off. Hairston off to a good start. We saw his brother Jerry playing for the Reds in the first series of the year. A pair of brothers both leading off for their teams, and Hairston swings and misses at the first offering from Perez. 0-1.
You're saying to yourself, how can Jody Garrett not be out there after that monumental day? Well, Hairston last year had 17 home runs and only 326 at bats, so that was a nice little thing they had going in center field.
1-1 to Hairston.
His season last year was shortened by an injury, as he missed the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, so he really could have probably hit 20 bombs.
Padres off to a great start. They are 6-2 to begin the year as Hairston rifles one foul. They lost 99 games last year, and expectations going into the season for San Diego could not have been lower. Yeah, here they are, 6-2. They've won 5 straight games.
That's why they play the games. It's much like St. Louis last year. Everybody thought there's Ryan Church right there getting his first night off. I'm sure he'd rather be out there in right field. Off to a hot start with the bat.
1-2 from Perez. Tries to tie him up. Missed with the fastball. 2-2. Ollie got off to a great start in his first outing against Cincinnati. 6 up, 6 down the first 2 innings. Struck out 4 straight. But then a leadoff walk in the third, and it all kind of fell apart from there. Again, Ollie comes inside. It's 3-2.
Well, I like the velocity with Ollie right now. It was a concern during spring, if you recall, Garrett, Ron, that he was throwing mid-80s. And, you know, he's not a finesse pitcher. He needs that blazing fastball, which he does have. There's Dan Warthen, pitching coach.
3-2 to Hairston leading off the game. And he pops one up foul. That'll come back and out of play.
You know, if you look at all of his games, what does he do? He owns left-handers, okay? So one of the things you have to do if you are a pro athlete is you have to work on your weaknesses. How can he get right-handers out a little better? Of course, spot his fastball better, but maybe he's got to have to start using that split finger, that little changeup to get him off all those fastballs inside.
Again, the 3-2, and it's low, ball 4, and so Perez walks the leadoff hitter. You know, Jerry Manuel was asked today before the game for about the millionth time about the difference between Oliver pitching in so-called big games against the Phillies and the Yankees and the like, and Ollie's relative lack of success against the lesser teams. And this is what Jerry said. He said, with the expectations and goals that this ball club has, every game's a big game, and Ollie's got to have that mindset.
I totally agree. That is a good way to think about it. We don't have a good enough team to say, hey, listen, we can give a game away here or there.
David Eckstein hitting second in the order, and he takes a strike.
Well, you know, Jerry sets a high bar for his team and his players, and I agree. He wants them to strive for more and never be satisfied. And this is a team that's very talented. I believe this team, it's time to win.
Eckstein got off to a slow start the first 3 games, but had 3 hits, a couple of doubles, a couple of RBIs in the game here on Monday night.
I think it's important to note here with these first 2 batters, Ronnie, if you remember in Cincinnati, Ollie was throwing out right-handers away. He didn't hit the inside corner. So far, he threw a lot of inside strikes to Scott Hairston, the leadoff hitter.
1-1 to Eckstein. And it's right at his feet, 2-1.
Keith, you make a great point, and the point is that even though Schneider was sitting inside in Cincinnati, he was throwing the ball outside. So let's see how Schneider, if he's not moving a lot and the ball is coming to him, then Oliver really has an idea of where he wants to throw the pitch tonight.
Fastball away.
Right down the middle, 2-2. You see the stats from last season, and they're stark. I mean, he pitched way better against better teams. 3-5, 5.69 against teams under 500. That's remarkable for a guy who finished 10-7 on the year. 2-2. Popped it up foul. That'll come back out of play.
Well, he had a season last year, Gare, where he had the terrible start. Dan Warthen came on board, got him to change his motion, and then he got red hot for the middle to the final quarter of the season and didn't have a good September, didn't have a good finish.
He also had 17 no decisions last year, which is phenomenal. 2-2. Hit in the air to left field. A long run toward the line from Murphy. And he'll get there to make the play for the first down. Tagging at first is Hairston, trying for second, and he arrives safely. Some fine base running by Scott Hairston, seeing Murphy have to track that ball toward the line, and he takes the extra base.
Well, just a good read here. You see Murphy is kind of momentum. He realizes right now it's going to be caught. Let's just tag up and see and challenge the arm. Murphy's momentum carrying him away from second base towards the line. Very heads up.
What has happened is that Murphy hasn't evolved as much as for an outfielder. He hasn't evolved to the point where he can run around that ball, have his momentum working towards second base, which will deter the runner from running, and the book is out. Teams are going to try to take advantage of Daniel in the outfield.
And there's also a matter of awareness there, isn't there? Because when he caught that ball, he didn't immediately plant to turn to second. He caught the ball, took a couple of steps, and then became aware that Hairston was running. Here's Brian Giles off to a slow start, hitting at 161, and he takes a strike.
Well, here's the play right here. And Gary, you're absolutely right. There was no sense of urgency here. And that's just inexperience right there. Let's remember, he is not a natural outfielder. And he has won the job with his bat. And he works very hard at his outfield position.
Giles lifts one, another chance for Murphy. Easier play. Hairston tags. This time simply bluffs, and this time Murphy was fully aware. It bounces away, though, from right and backed up by Schneider as that ball rolled through the infield, and that enables Hairston to go to third. Well, this time Murphy was fully aware, but he overthrew third base a little bit.
Well, there he is. Nice. He's throwing the short hop in between Hop David. Tough play for David, and it takes a crazy carom. But then again, all you kids never assume anything. Force the throw. That's just a bluff right there, and look what happens. It may not work 99 out of 100 times, but that one time out of 100 might be late in the ballgame and win you a game.
So it's an error charged, I presume, on Murphy for the throw, moving Hairston over to third. Now with two out, Adrian Gonzalez, the leading RBI threat on this San Diego team, steps in. He swings and misses at a fastball.
You know, just to add the last part of that, Keith, people always think when a guy's trying to score to home, you hit the cutoff man. You hit the cutoff man on any kind of throw. If that throw is through Jose Reyes, he cuts that off, a little toss to right, and the ball's back to Oliver Perez.
Gonzalez homered in the opening game of the series on Monday. Hit it off the foul screen on the right field foul pole. And Ollie gets ahead of him 0-2.
That's what I love to see. Here's the throw again. And he rushes it. And it's the only difference is he's got the cutoff man right there. Make sure you hit the cutoff man. So that's the 8th error of the year for the Metsies.
Most in the National League. They have been tied with Washington for the most in the league. 0-2 to Gonzalez. Struck him out. High fastball from Oliver Perez, and he works around a walk and an error in the opening inning. Mets will come to bat with Reyes to lead off against Kevin Correa in the bottom of the first. Talk about not being able to game. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup. The big change, Gary Sheffield getting the start in right field, his first start as a Met. David Wright coming off the 3-run homer in the home opener on Monday, the first Met home run at Citi Field.
And Kevin Correa, who pitched for San Diego in parts of 5 different seasons. San Diego native, one of 6 pitchers that have pitched for the Padres that were born in San Diego. He's alternated between being a starter and a reliever. One of those 46 pitchers invited to spring training with the San Diego Padres.
Jose Reyes 1 for 4 in the home opener. Leading off against Correa. Popped up, shallow left, and Luis Rodriguez out to grab it for the first out. Well, it is Jackie Robinson night, and it is a very special Jackie Robinson night here at Citi Field tonight, because earlier today the dedication of the Jackie Robinson Rotunda took place, and we're so thrilled to have Rachel Robinson with us. Rachel, what a tremendous day.
It has been a really tremendous day, and I'm so thrilled about the Rotunda. It's just magnificent.
Tell us your thoughts as you look around that Rotunda. I know you had a lot of input into how it was designed and some of the things that are included there. What are your thoughts as you look around there?
My thoughts are that it's so well thought out, and it represents Jack's journey, if you will, through his lifetime, and all the high points, the low points. It's really American history seen through his experiences. And I think it's, I hope it will be very inspirational to those people who come through.
I think it already has been. You know, we just over the first couple of days that the stadium has been open, just seeing the number of people who linger in the Rotunda, want to take pictures there, want to absorb everything that is represented, all the values that Jackie stood for. And I think they're really paying attention.
They are paying attention. I watched that too from the balcony. I just stood up there and watched them bring children up to number 42 so that they could take a picture there, and looking at all the values and trying to interpret them for younger people.
Well, I love the fact that I didn't realize he had such big feet, number one. I love that. I know that's just a sidebar there. Everything is so important, everything written on the walls.
Yes.
And it has such a wonderful message. But that what struck me. I love standing right there, seeing the number in the background, his size of his feet. It like you said, it is just so appropriate and so well thought out, and it's such it honors Jackie and his legacy. And
there's a sense of permanence there. All those photographs are made up in tile. I mean, this is not just an exhibit that's going to come and go or whatever. It's going to be there for generations to come, we hope. And so that part of it is very important to me as well. At my stage of life, I want to see something live on past me.
Of course, you look younger and younger every year, so.
Well, I am 86 years old and counting.
That is fantastic. The Rotunda was designed to look like Ebbets Field.
Yes.
When you walk in, do you feel like you're back at Ebbets Field?
When I walk in the front of the building, it's the shape of the building that reminds me of Ebbets Field. And also, I love the fact that we're so close to the field, and we're in the seating arrangement, so there's a kind of intimacy between the fans and the game. That's typical Ebbets Field too.
You see the exterior of Ebbets Field, and really they got the shape perfect.
The shape is perfect, yes.
You know, there's 3 inherent things in America, maybe: Constitution, jazz, and baseball. And I know you have your museum also down on Varick Street that you're working on, and can't wait to get that going also.
Oh, yes. We have acquired the space. We have designed the museum. We have raised half of the funds that we need to raise. It's going to cost $25 million, and we have raised $12 million. And so we are well on our way there, and it's going to be very exciting.
Tell us how the foundation is going.
Foundation is doing very, very well. We started with 2 scholars. We have graduated 1,300. We have over 300 on full scholarships this year. We are now going into an expansion of supporting graduate education. We call it extra innings. So we have students going now into graduate school. We also have an overseas, they call it Rachel Robinson Fellowship. When we're sending students overseas, we sent them to Africa last year. And so we're doing very well. We're on solid ground. We have an endowment, and we have a program that is successful. We have a 97% graduation rate, which is double the national average. And it's because we give more than funds. We give attention to them. They have mentoring. They have all kinds of seminars. We bring them all to New York once a year. Don't get me started on the foundation.
And I would think that the awareness of the foundation is only going to be expanded by the Rotunda and by the museum.
Absolutely, and tourists will come to both, and the local people will enjoy both. The museum is going to be interactive, so we hope to attract a lot of youngsters. We're inviting a lot of children in to learn something about their history.
David Wright pulls one foul.
Well, Ms. Robinson, we humbly say that if you ever need us three to do anything for you to help help in any way, we certainly would be there for you.
Okay. I take your call.
All right, good.
You'll sign us up.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's amazing now that it's been 12 years since the first Jackie Robinson night at Shea Stadium when President Clinton was on hand. It seems like it was just yesterday.
Yes, doesn't it? I didn't realize it had been that long.
1997, the first Jackie Robinson
Right,
night. And now
right, that's right.
Now for the first time, every player, every manager, every coach, every umpire is wearing number 42 today.
That's a great thrill this year that all the teams are doing it, and that's a major tribute to Jack from his peers in a way. People, they appreciate him, which is really important.
Wright pops one up, and Gonzalez can't quite get to it.
Was there any significance to the number 42? Was it what number that Jackie wanted, or was it issued to him?
It's a number that was issued to him and has gained significance over time, yes.
And that the number 42 in blue in the Rotunda, that is an incredibly popular stopping off point for people already. People are taking pictures there, it seems, every minute.
I watch them. I watch people gather there and take pictures and put children up there, and so there are lots of ways of creating memories.
2 out and nobody on, and a 1-2 count to David Wright. And Wright goes down swinging to end the inning. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Congratulations on the Rotunda. Good luck with the museum and the foundation.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's my pleasure.
Great to have you. Thank you so much. Rachel Robinson joining us on Jackie Robinson night. Look at young Jackie and Rachel in front of the U.S. Capitol. through that first inning. Now he takes on Chase Headley to lead off the second.
Not to be confused with Headley Lamar.
Switch
Headley. You are just fixated on Blazing Saddles, aren't you? Headley, the switch hitter, fouls it back, hitting at 194. It'll be Headley, then Kevin Kuzminoff and Nick Hundley for the Padres in the second. The Padres, despite their 6-2 start, haven't been scoring all that much. They have just a .238 team batting average, but their pitching has been outstanding. And of course, they had a couple of home runs in their win here on Monday.
Well, their bullpen, all 13 of the pitchers on the staff, but the bullpen has appeared in 23 innings. They've only allowed a run in 1 out of the 23. 3 runs in 1 inning.
Well, they were sparkling against the Mets last night. They went 4 1/3 scoreless.
1-2 to Headley. Padres bullpen ERA best in the majors, 1.17.
They've got some no names in there.
Well, today everybody's a no name because they're all wearing the same number. But your point is well taken. The Luke Gregersons and the
Mujicas,
Edward Mujicas and the Edwin Morenos.
De La Cruz.
Right, Frankie De La Cruz. 2-2 to Headley. Not exactly what you'd call household names. And they're doing it also without a lefty in that bullpen. None.
I would tell you, in the middle of the bullpens now in any ball team, the pitchers are 50 cents on a dollar. In this way, is that they could have a good year and not a good year next year. You got to kind of pick and choose who's going to have a strong year because they were out there so often the year before.
Headley breaks his bat. David Wright backs up on the hop and makes the true throw to get Headley one away. Look at that bat snapping right in half.
Yep.
You know, and it was supposed to be better. You know, they were able to use those maple bats in spring training from the past few seasons, but then when the season started, they were supposed to use those maple bats that had the different labeling, and they were supposed to break less often. Well, so far, and this is not scientific, but a lot of people ducking.
Never a reason to flinch.
Well, the maple bat isn't as pliable as the white ash, the traditional white ash, and that's why you see it snap in half so much. And the wood is harder, therefore the players can use a lighter bat, and therefore that's why it breaks in half, that's why it splinters.
Kevin Kuzminoff hitting at .214.
Isn't part of it, Keith, also that they come from the aluminum bat in college and they love those real thin handles
and
light with the with large top of the bat, so they want that same feel when they get to the major leagues, and you can only do that or replicate that with the maple bat.
Seems as though the handles of major league bats, as this one's grounded slowly to right. Kuzminoff not a fast man. Right throws him out. It seems as though the handles have been narrowing really year by year for about 40 or 50 years now. If you go back to, you know, the 40s and 50s and look at film of the hitters then, I mean, the handles were huge.
Nellie Fox was always the classic in his baseball card. He'd choke up in that big old thick-handled bat.
Well, I used to use 2 different bats, a P89 when I hit, and then when I bunted, I always used the U2. And the U2 is always like the thickest bat.
That looks like a fungo.
Yeah.
So you're saying when you bunt, you want a thicker handle just in case.
Yeah, I want a real thick, heavy bat.
Here's Nick Hundley, the catcher, with 2 out, and he fouls it back.
But it didn't really help that much because I was watching. They were doing a Mets Classic this afternoon, and all I could see is I was pitching the game, and that ended up all right, but missed the bunt. Just
you didn't get him over?
I did not get him over. It was just.
$10 in the kitty.
I'm in a bad mood the rest of the day just because of that.
You're very self-effacing, but who won the game?
Well, we squeaked by.
Hundley takes a fastball for a strike, and Ollie appears to have a good fastball tonight.
He's throwing in the low 90s.
He was a little fearful about pitching in the chillier weather. He liked his first start in Cincinnati, liked the weather that day, if not the result. Ahead now on Hundley, 0-2. Struck him out. Second strikeout for Oliver Perez, and he sets the Padres down 1-2-3 in the second. So for his second straight start, Ollie off to a good first 2 innings.
We clear?
under him. Padres picked him up as a minor league free agent, and he made their ball club out of spring training. Carlos Delgado will lead off the home second inning for New York.
And it's interesting, you know, he was 0-3 with a 6.5 ERA in spring training, so he didn't really have a great spring training, but, you know, sometimes when you got to make a decision, do I go with a young guy or a guy who has some experience? They chose experience with Correa.
Delgado 0 for 4 on Monday, hitting at .333 through the first 7 games of the year. And the Padres have the full overshift on against Carlos.
Except the outfield's playing the other way. Harrison's on the other side of second base. And that's what happens when you have the charts. The spray charts will show you that when he hits the ball on the ground, it will be pulled. When he hits the ball in the air, it'll be straight away or to the left.
You're absolutely right, Ronnie. And no one could be a better scout than us because we see this team on an everyday basis. So we know the trends. It's almost like I told my wife on the off day. I said, you know, Major League Club, and I'm not bragging, should hire me just to sit home on my TV and watch from TV, and I can find the weaknesses and how to pitch hitters if you watch them on. You just focus on one team.
So you'll do anything to get out of that 80-mile drive. That's the key.
I just want to know if that would represent a raise from your current salary. Going the other way, Delgado pokes one into left field. And the Mets have their first base runner of the night.
And Ronnie's point is hammered home right there. If they had the big shift on Delgado here with left fielder Chase Headley out in the alley, this would have been a double. Nice hitting. I love guys that hit the outside pitch right up the plate like that.
See Adrian Gonzalez wearing the earmuffs.
Saw that.
Luckily, he's not in the NFL.
Overkill.
That'd be a fine.
Would have been a fine in our day.
It's chilly. It's not really that cold. Here's Carlos Beltran hitting at .345. Want to know to Beltran. It was 1 for 4 on Monday, and he takes it away 2-0. Here's your IOTB pitch differential, the difference between the target and where the pitch goes.
Well, Hundley wanted that down, right, Keith?
He wanted it down, and look, it's belt high. Ted Williams told me the easiest pitch to hit, the ball up and away, belt high and up. It's the shortest distance from the bat on your shoulder to the ball.
I love that pitch differential. That's a
I
great
do
look.
too. I love it. It just goes to show you out there that, excuse me, Ronnie, thank goodness that you pitchers can't put it where you want it all the time.
You're right. We can't.
There'd be no 300 hitters if that was the case.
You can't. That's why you pitch inside, because sometimes you get away with that pitch if you pitch enough inside.
2-1 to Beltran, and the breaking ball low. And the guys who can, the Greg Maddoxes of the world, they go to the Hall of Fame.
Well, Cal Ripken said to me in a different way. He said exactly what you said. He said, you know what, Ronnie? Lucky that pitchers are so stupid.
No,
if they weren't so stupid, we'd never get a hit.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, I know you were. That's how most hitters feel.
3-1, and Beltran takes a strike. Thought it might have been wide and popped away from Hundley. 3-2.
Well, right to the glove. Just didn't catch it. Be interesting to see. I doubt if he'll run Delgado, but Beltran's red hot. You could put him in motion, Delgado.
Gary Sheffield on deck. Not going, and it's ball 4, and the Mets have the first 2 men on for Sheffield. So a single and a walk, and the Mets poised to try and get something on the board. Gary Sheffield making his first start as a Met. His first start in the outfield since August of last year, and his first start in right field since July of '07. Sheffield, 40 years old, sitting on 499 home runs for his career.
Well, he's had a Hall of Fame career, there's no question. Of course, the World Championship with those Marlins. There's Razor Shines, way out of the box. Third base coach. Don't pull it my way.
First and second and nobody out, and Sheffield takes a slider for a strike. Gary's 0 for 2 as a Met so far, all pinch hitting assignments, a walk, a strikeout, and a ground ball. See that? No player's ever hit his 500th as a Met. And nobody has ever hit his 500th as his first home run for a new team.
Hey, Keith, let me ask you, nerves here? Despite 499 home runs, despite 1,600 plus RBIs?
What was that 300th home run for Kidd that took him so long, Carter? It took him forever to get that.
Yeah.
You might press, you would get it, and then once you get through with it, take a deep breath and get red hot. But Sheffield hasn't even gotten started on this season.
Well, that's the other thing. Is there also a matter of Gary Sheffield feeling as though he has to prove something here, that he belongs? You see that front door slider?
That's one of those ugly sliders that kind of spin in the middle of the plate. It's not really a strike, but hits the umpire right in the middle of the face, and they almost always call it.
So Correa ahead on Sheffield, 1-2. I mean, what about that, Keith? I mean, here you are, a guy who's had, as you say, a Hall of Fame type career, but you're 40 years old. You're coming off a poor year last year. You just got released, had a bad spring training. Do you feel as though you have to prove something?
Well, I tell you what, it depends on the individual, but is there a doubt in the back of your head that have I lost it? That's the way I felt in Cleveland. I had lost it, and boy, when you start feeling that way, that's negative.
1-2. Popped it up foul. That'll come out of play.
And Sheff has always been a very, very positive, kind of a cocky player. But there comes a time when age catches up to you, and it's something to fight. You got everybody writing about you. You had an off year last year. You had 230. Is he over the hill? Those are things that you have to combat mentally.
See the outfield deep and a step toward left against Sheffield. Lifted toward the right field line. Over goes Giles. And that ball just lands foul. Disappearing from our view.
Well, it's hard for us to see, but this is the angle right here. And yes, indeed. That kind of, from our perspective up here in the booth, we lose sight of that ball. Sheffield's bat right there.
I think also what plays into this is that it's a strange thing. He's the nephew of Dwight Gooden. He was around us all the time during the early 80s. And he always had a dream to play for this team in this organization. The sad part maybe it's that it's not at his prime, but he still would love to put up one great year here. That's pressure.
This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat to Sheffield. First and second and nobody out. No score, bottom of the second. And another breaking ball fouled off.
I think Gary likes playing in New York. I think he enjoyed his tenure with the Yankees. This is a brand new stadium. It's outstanding. A good ball club. Who wouldn't want to come here and play?
Well, there's got to be another piece to it, too. Ryan Church is off to a great start. Sheffield, if he doesn't play well the first few games, here's Doc Gooden watching his nephew. 1-2. Struck him out. Threw a fastball by Sheffield. Third strikeout for Correa. That's the first out of the inning.
Do a little pitch sequence here. There's the strikeout right there. Fastball, plenty of plate.
I was going to say, with Church playing so well, if Sheffield goes out there and doesn't have a good first few games, maybe he's wondering in the back of his mind, am I going to get a lot of opportunities?
Yeah, well, that is the case. But I do think that this is going to be an April, part of May experiment, and you have to, for your ball club, make a decision at some point if this is the team we want to go the rest of the way with.
Yeah, we've talked a lot as Brian Schneider takes a strike that the Mets are getting a free look right now.
Yeah.
But at some point, you decide one way or another what you're going to be.
And it makes it easier to take a look if you win in some ball games, right?
You talk about losing a little bit of confidence, Gary, when you're getting older. Sheffield has always been a notorious fastball hitter, and that was a fastball down the pipe that he was tardy on. That, in the back of your mind, you go, that pitch beat me? That pitch never beat me before. Then you start worrying. So those are kind of the problems that you have to contest.
Schneider, it's a double play ball right to Eckstein. 4-6-3 on the double play, and the inning is over. So the Mets at first and second and nobody out, and they do not score against Correa. Perez back to the mound, no score.
section of the Jackie Robinson Rotunda earlier today. It is, of course, Jackie Robinson night. All the players wearing number 42, and we already know the Mets do a lot of work in the community and with the charity, and well, they've started another one this year. It's called Citi Field Kids, and what are the odds of the guy in front of me stands up when I'm talking? It's hard to make that up. Anyway, they started a new charity. It's called Citi Field Kids. It's with the Mets in conjunction with the Jackie Robinson Foundation. Also, United Neighborhood Houses. Nancy Waxstein is next to me. Also, Mark Willis is next to me from Citi. These are the two people that really started this charity. And instead of me telling you, Mark, just give us a feel for what this does for these middle school and high school kids.
All right, Citi Field is a program that's designed to positively impact middle and high school students. We bring them into the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. They do a tour of that magnificent structure called the Jackie Robinson Rotunda, get a little bit of the history of Jackie Robinson. They are followed, toured by Jackie Robinson scholars from their scholarship program, as well as a mentoring session with some of the current or former New York Mets, some front office executives, as well as broadcasters.
So they really
terrific program.
They really get a sense of what Jackie was all about, what he went through. They get a feel for really the whole thing, and get a feel talking to some of the current players and people around the team as well.
And the executives, so they really get a sense of the business of baseball as well. It's just a terrific program.
That's pretty neat. It's a leadoff single by Luis Rodriguez, by the way, here in the third. Nancy, the middle school and high school kids, underprivileged kids, inner city kids, giving them a taste of baseball, obviously here tonight. How do you select the kids? How do you determine who's involved?
Well, United Neighborhood Houses is 36 community agencies, community centers, settlement houses from around the 5 boroughs, and all of our members have after-school programs, for example, teen programs, and for the kids who participate in those programs, like these 2 young men right here from Jacob Reese in Queens, they are selected by their counselors because they participate regularly in these programs. So this is a really nice enrichment, a really nice perk for these kids, most of whom probably have never been.
I was going to say, this is probably their first baseball game, right?
I'm sure for many of them, first time they've been in a professional baseball game. And these are kids from Queens who probably have never been even to Shea, and now coming to Citi Field. Great. It's really great. And so these are kids who are going to not only have a great time, but they're going to learn about Jackie Robinson and, the values that he represented, which is, integrity, hard work, tolerance, courage, all this stuff. And,
they get a chance for really to get it all in as the pitcher Correa fails to get the bunt down. And guys, what's nice too for the kids, they all got a little backpack with some goodies. They got a food coupon for tonight. And what's the best thing is they're getting a chance to take in their first baseball game. So it's great, especially on this night, Jackie Robinson night. Back to you.
That's terrific. That's a win-win for everybody. Right here, 1 out and 1 on. Scott Hairston steps in and cracks one in the air to center. Right there is Beltran to wait for it. And so Hairston retired for the second out, and Rodriguez back to first. So 2 away, and David Eckstein coming up. Saw the pitcher Correa try to bunt, and with 0-2, popped a little pop-up in foul territory that Brian Schneider caught, which denied Oliver Perez a strikeout.
He could have let it drop.
That's not how they're built. If it's a pop-up, you catch the pop-up. He's just not built that way.
So you're saying Ollie's not.
Don't worry, he's got plenty of
breath.
Getting strikeouts is not Ollie's problem. Plenty of those.
Eckstein fly to left his first time up.
I noticed in this umpiring crew the first 2 games, they call a high strike. It's really the letters, and it is a strike, but they don't call it so much. But this crew so far has called that letter high strike. Bravo.
Bruce Dreckman had the plate on Monday. Paul Emmel tonight. 0-1 to Eckstein. And it's low and away.
And Keith, you hit on a good point. And the point is that many of these umpiring crews have a theme almost on how they call. If one of them, and especially the crew chief, calls the ball up in the strike zone, it seems like the whole crew does that. If they have a tight strike zone, the whole crew has a tight strike zone.
That was Bill Hahn with that outstanding mustache at second base. Never seen Bill with a brush before. There he is. Come on, let's look. Very nice.
Would have played for the Oakland A's in the 70s.
For the Gas House gang.
That one a little too high, and it's 2-1. David Eckstein, who spent last year playing for Toronto and Arizona.
Yeah, he originally was the Angels, but he's played for 4 teams in the last 2 years. See Brian Giles on deck.
Rips one foul. Plus, he was with the Cardinals when they won it in 06. And now playing shortstop for the Cardinals is the former San Diego shortstop, Khalil Green. Boy, did the Cardinals get bad news yesterday.
Wow. Chris Carpenter.
Carpenter goes 7 innings, no hit ball on his first start after having those operations. And then swinging a bat, hurt his rib cage, immediately on the DL.
And that's going to be a long heel right there. He'll be on that DL for quite some time.
That's a cruel blow for the Cardinals, who waited so long for Carpenter to get back healthy. Really, it's been since the 06 postseason.
Well, they've had trouble like that in the past. They waited a long time for Mark Mulder to come back. That did not work out. You know, the only place that Eckstein can take you deep is if you try to go inside. He has a little bit of power down that left field line, and we've seen down the right field line that the ball will jump out of here. It's going to be interesting to see if it's the same for the left field line.
Rodriguez at first and 2 down. And Eckstein pops one up right near the mound. David Wright climbs the hill, stumbles a bit, and then stays with it. Boy, it's tough to go up that mound and stay with the ball, and it was difficult for David, but he made the play to end the inning. We go to the bottom of the 3rd, still no score. Of tonight's game from us in the booth on Lincoln Mercury Postgame Extra. After every Mets game, only on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Well, a pop-up right on the mound, and why can't the pitcher catch this?
Well, the pitcher usually can catch this, but it's been the axiom that you let the third baseman or first baseman catch it. And a really tough play for David once he stubbed his toe there. When I played, I was stuck with Hernandez and Carter, who used to fight each other over the pop-up. So never, ever had to make a play.
Then you had Ray Knight at third. He wanted him, too.
Luis Castillo takes out. Well, David needs to take lessons from Carlos Beltran on how to catch a ball running up a hill.
There you go.
That was a great catch, was it not?
That 17-inning game in Houston.
That was one of the finest catches I've ever seen. 2 years ago, correct?
Yep. 2-0 to Castillo. Right before the All-Star break.
Right. There's a Lou Bracabella. I remember when Lou brought that out. I didn't know they still made those.
And
Bracabella.
Can I point out that it is not raining?
In his head, it might be.
And it's not like he has to shield his head from the sun.
That's right.
Castillo off to a good start, hitting at .368. Including a double and an RBI on Monday. And Correa works him inside, 3-1 with Oliver Perez on deck, and then Jose Reyes. Mets had a scoring chance in the second, first and second, and nobody out, but Sheffield struck out and Schneider hit into a double play. And Castillo takes a strike, taking all the way on 3-1.
Well, they're trying to get him to be more aggressive at the plate, and he certainly did that 4-for-4 game in Florida.
I mean, in this spot, hitting 8th in the order, is it that his feeling is, I don't hit a lot of extra base hits. All I need to do is get to first base, let the pitcher bunt me over. Is that what he's thinking when he takes a 3-1 pitch like that?
I would usually say yes. Sorry, Keith, to step on you, but he did the same in the second slot.
I guess that's true.
Right?
3-2. Castillo lofts one foul off the left side. That'll go out of play.
He's like leading off an inning right now, and like you said, the pitcher's hitting behind him. You know, Louis always a tough guy to strike out, but I think when these circumstances, after last year and the success he had swinging the bat, 3-1, you're going to get a fastball. And to me, that's, you know, you live for those counts. You live for 2-0. You live for 3-1. Early in the game, go to swinging. Late in the game, okay, maybe if it's a tie ball game.
Breaking ball hit to left, shallow, but that's where Headley was playing. Defensed him perfectly, and that's the first out. So one away. Oliver Perez coming up. Here's the Mets' upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. Padres are in for one more tomorrow night. John Maine against Jake Peavy. And then the Brewers over the weekend. Livan Hernandez goes Friday night. Johan Santana on Saturday afternoon, and Mike Pelfrey with a question mark on Sunday. And by the way, congratulations to Johan Santana and his wife Yasmile, the proud parents of their third child, their first son, Johan Alexander Jr., who was born yesterday morning. And that's the only thing that would have kept Johan from being here for the Citi Field opener.
I see 42 on the pitcher in a kind of a bluish uniform, and I always think of Roger McDowell. He looks a little bit, the way Roger threw straight up, it looks a little bit like Roger.
Ollie takes a strike. Just getting back to Castillo for one more piece of information to throw into the hopper. He's facing Kevin Correa. The league hit .310 against Kevin Correa last year, the highest of any pitcher in the National League. Ollie chops one toward third. That's a foul ball. Ollie running it out hard for a foul all the way.
Well, just to put it in perspective, if I'm facing Luis Castillo, here we go. Let's go back to Oliver.
Do you see how disappointed he was
Chop
at
it
the
off
end of
the
this
plate.
play?
Well, it's nice to see him running hard. Even pitchers can smell hits occasionally.
He was very disappointed. He thought for sure he had a knock.
He's like, boy, that's false hustle. I just wasted 90-foot sprint.
There you go. There goes 2 innings off my appearance. My start.
Luis, just to get back to it real quickly, as a pitcher, if I'm facing Luis in a 3-1 count, 100% of the time.
Ollie gets flipped. 2-2.
I'm not talking 70, 80, 90, 94, 99. 100% of the time, I'm trying to throw a fastball down the middle. Because if he gets you, yes, he can get you for double. Maybe he can pull one down the line and get triple. But 95% of the time, it's going to be a single if he hits it. So that's what he's going to see every time 3-1.
Perez held the swing, they say. Bruce Dreckman with the call, 3-2.
Well, walks kill. You never want to give an intentional pass. And pitchers that walk a lot of batters usually find their way into an early shower. Good cut by Ollie there. Ollie has a funny swing. But you know what? He's got a chance. It's an ugly swing. But he does get the barrel there. He got a terrible follow through. But he's a pitcher. I'm not being overly critical here.
You know, David Cohn, when he first started hitting, was an awful hitter. And he turned himself into a guy who would make contact but became a pretty good hitter.
Right.
Ollie lifetime 151, and he fouls another one away. And if nothing else, he's building up Correa's pitch count.
Good at that.
Ollie's got a chance up there.
See Correa up to 54 already, first time through the batting order. This will be the 9th pitch of the at bat, and Perez fouls away another one. Here is Mike Pelfrey. And if you missed it earlier, Pelfrey diagnosed with some forearm tendonitis that he hopes will not keep him out of his Sunday start, but the Mets are very much up in the air right at the moment as to whether he will make that start against the Brewers or not. Ollie down swinging. A good hack at that fastball. 4th strikeout for Correa, 2 away.
And the crowd enjoyed that at bat. Getting back to Pelfrey, I think that he's considered their number 2 starter. So if I had to bet, I'd say no way he's going to pitch on Sunday because they want to be extra careful. One of the things that they do now, if a guy has forearm tendonitis, he will not throw in between starts. And when a guy does not throw in between starts in today's baseball, they usually do not allow him to go out there and start a game.
In your time, Ronnie?
You could definitely go in between starts without throwing and just, get ready for that day somehow, some way.
Reyes bounces one down to Adrian Gonzalez, and Kevin Correa has fashioned a 1-2-3 third inning. So Perez back to the mound for the 4th against the heart of the order for San Diego. No score. Padres no score. So far so good for Oliver Perez.
Well, the great thing about Oliver tonight is that his release point is much better. He's letting go of the ball in front of his body. That's the key. Watch when he goes. People always talk about arm angle. Well, his arm angle is always going to be a little 3/4, but the key is that he lets the ball go in front of his body. When he is lagging and that arm stays behind him and that's where he releases the ball, that's when you'll see all those pitches up and away to right-handed hitters. His arm is in front of him. Much better job so far early.
Ryan Giles leads off in the 4th and takes the slider off the plate. Jerry Manuel was asked tonight about Perez whether when things go wrong for him that it's more about his concentration wavering or whether it's about him getting unhooked mechanically. And what Jerry said was, he said, well, it's both, that they're linked together, that the concentration lapses lead to the mechanical lapses.
Well, I think he's spot on. That is a good call by Jerry, who knows his personnel. I think also what happens, because we saw in that at bat, Oliver is a very competitive guy. He's a very proud pitcher out there. And when he starts to get in trouble, he does what you're never supposed to do. He tries to get out of it all by himself. And you, at times, when you don't have it working, it's better to throw it down the middle and go, hey, guys, you got to catch it tonight. That's how I feel. He doesn't ever feel that.
2-2 to Giles. Well, Keith, when you're a hitter and you've got a pitcher out there that you know can get out of whack like that, are you more likely to wait him out and wait for that to happen?
You can wait him out, or you can get him in a tight situation where he is in trouble, and he might give you a fat one first pitch, Gary. And you can jump all over it, and really put a hurt on him. The key is always, no matter who's pitching, is having a good eye at the plate. Some guys do, some guys don't. I had a good eye at the plate. I didn't like facing those guys that were all over the place around the plate. They might miss by a foot here, a foot there. I never liked facing those guys because they didn't know what they were doing. You couldn't zero in on them.
2-2 to Giles, who flied to left his first time. And he lifts this one to left center. Murphy moving over, that ball curling back toward him. And he makes the catch for the first out. Murphy getting plenty of work out in left field tonight. So far, Sheffield in right field has merely picked up a base hit.
Played catch with the ball boy down the right field line. That's been his only thing as Adrian Gonzalez comes up. Here's Sheff.
It was interesting. We got a note from the Elias Sports Bureau today in reference to Sheffield making his first start for the Mets out in right field with Perez on the mound. Since the start of the 2007 season, Mets right fielders have averaged 3.4 putouts per 9 innings in Oliver Perez's starts. That's by far the most of any right fielders with any pitcher in the major leagues. So this figured to be a big test, but so far no fly balls have come Sheffield's way.
Well, this is a good matchup for Ollie too, with the two best hitters in the ball club being left-hand hitters right in the middle of that line of 3 and 4, Giles and Adrian Gonzalez right here.
2-0 to Gonzalez. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Yeah, guys, talking a lot about Sheffield tonight, rightfully so. And I think most people think that, maybe Sheffield and Church, maybe a little bit of an icy relationship there. One guy coming in trying to maybe take a job, but that's not the case. In fact, I was talking to Ryan Church today. He said, we talk all the time on the bench, all the time about hitting, about fielding. In fact, Church took him out in right field today and kind of showed him the lay of land and showed him where he stood for certain batters on Monday night, and just kind of give him the lay of the land, talking over things. Church told me that right field to him felt weird. It felt awkward simply because they're simply not used to playing here. So he was trying to help Sheffield as much as he could. As far as him being a teammate, he said, look, I'm happy he's here. The guy can flat out hit. We could use his help, and quite honestly, there's enough pressure on us. We don't need to make any more pressure on ourselves. So they're actually interacting quite nicely, guys, trying to help each other out.
Ronnie, if you're Ollie in this situation and you've got an inexperienced guy in right field, or if you're Schneider calling the game, you're more likely to keep the ball away from Gonzalez.
No, you're not. You're keeping it away from Gonzalez because he's a home run hitter, and your big part of the park is at center field. You want him to hit it to your best fielder, Beltran.
Well, Gonzalez draws the walk. Second one given up by Perez tonight, and I have a feeling as this season goes along, Adrian Gonzalez is going to draw a lot of walks.
Yeah. Gary, I never went into a game thinking twice about a fielder, ever. You go into the game with you and the catcher going back and forth. I never said to myself, you know what, I can't throw in because the third baseman's not very good right now. Never, ever thought that.
Here's Chase Headley, who grounded out to David Wright his first time, and Ollie misses with a slider.
Yeah, there was times when you pitched, Ronnie, when you had Kevin Mitchell in left field or Danny Heap, who didn't cover a lot of ground.
And you can't worry about it because you know what? Sometime the guy who is not your best fielder will come up with a great play. It's happened many, many times. We used to have Mackey Sasser catch. That was not the best defensively, but he could throw guys out and he could hit. So you never know, he might drive into.
Guys, I talked to Jody Garrett after the game on Monday night, and I asked him what it was like in center field. He said balls just flat out died up there. Once the ball's up in the air, it just flat out died. He said it reminded him of home, of Petco Park. Brian Giles echoed those same sentiments today. So, we'll watch how that unfolds. And as Jerry Manuel said, it might take 6 months.
2-1 to Headley. But, then again, I was talking to Ryan Church yesterday, and Ryan said, first of all, I've never seen more grass around me than there is in right field. But he said, while the ball might die in the wind in the gaps, that once you get to straightaway right and down the line, the ball's flying out because there's nothing to block the wind there, whereas there is, or there's a stance to block the wind as opposed to in right center where the wind can come through. Grounded foul by Headley, and it's 2-2.
And we're right now in April, where traditionally with Old Shea, the ball didn't carry. The ball started carrying in the summer when the humidity came and it got hotter. It's a day-to-day thing for us to check this stadium out. I'll be very curious to see as the weather turns if there's any change in how the ball carries and which direction.
And with this big ballpark and all the quirkiness to it, if any team in baseball has an even run with the Mets, it would be the San Diego Padres because of the ballpark they come from.
2-2 to Headley with 1 out. Line to center. Beltran standing his ground and picks it off. Straight as a string right at Carlos for the 2nd out.
I love the right field corner, and I love that where the Modell's, the Mo zone is, and those quirky angles. You know, if you're an outfielder at your home park and you get used to it, defensively will be an advantage for the Mets. And I just love the little angles in there, the quirks, and I think it's going to be to the advantage of the Mets in the long run.
Well, Kevin, you've been out there the first couple of games. What do you notice about the wind?
It's very windy in left and in center, at least on the field level concourses, Gary. I think the scoreboard knocks some of that down. But I still think some sneaks through because of those open concourses. You know, when I was over here doing those construction updates last year, that's the one thing I noticed. Even though you get the scoreboard to block it, because everything is now open, unlike Shea, it really just kind of zips through here. And I think it's, Keith, I think you hit it. I think it's going to put a wall in center field basically until the humidity picks up a little bit and the ball starts to travel.
Kuzminoff swings and misses. Off-speed pitches by Perez, getting him ahead 0-2.
What a beautiful, I love this. 2 little change-ups by Oliver Perez. He's always had a little kind of a split finger change-up, and to a guy who's a notorious fastball hitter. Just very good thinking, very good execution.
Go back there again.
3 in a row, tough to throw to your 3rd best pitch. Take a chance upstairs with your good fastball. Out of the strike zone, though.
Another one.
3 change-ups in a row, and it's 1-2.
It's a good one, I'll tell you.
Well, Ollie's never had the off-speed pitch, and Dan Warthen loves to teach the change-up. And if you see the pitch count right there,
not bad at all.
Very serviceable.
What a weapon for Ollie to right-hand hitters. He wants to throw another one.
4 change-ups in a row to Kuzminoff. Gonzalez runs, but Kuzminoff strikes out, and Oliver Perez with a fine comeback against Kuzminoff for his 3rd strikeout. Ollie's allowed just 1 hit over the first 4 innings. Now the Mets will look to get to hitting. David Wright will have a turn at bat when the Mets come up in the bottom of the 4th when we come back.
Comes out in the summer.
It didn't get shot, did it?
After the 1956 season, who did the New York Giants trade for Jackie Robinson? Of course, Jackie refused to report to the Giants and retired. By the way, speaking of the New York Giants, we mourned the passing of Harry Kalas earlier this week. Great figure in sportscasting passed away today. A guy older fans will remember by the name of Les Kiter. Les was the voice of the New York Giants in the 50s and continued to be their voice after they moved to San Francisco. As Daniel Murphy takes a strike, Les Kiter did recreations of Giants games from, I guess, 58 through 62. He had his little his pencils he banged together and knocked or hit one against the pipe for a particularly hard hit ball. Really the last of the recreated broadcasts. And Les did a lot of work in Philadelphia and in Hawaii, but he's remembered in New York for those New York Giants broadcasts. Anyway, he passed away at age 89 earlier today.
Bull Durham type broadcasts.
You betcha. 1-2 to Murphy.
When I played in Tulsa, the radio team. There's Doc. Boy, what a great pitcher.
And it is so good to have him back around the house.
Yep. Agreed.
He was away for a long time before he showed up for the final day at Shea and got a rousing ovation, and I think it really moved him. 2-2 to Murphy.
Well, I think that because of the stuff that Dwight's gone through, I think he was embarrassed to come back, and getting that ovation from the fans just made him feel like, you know what, Dwight, you're always part of our team, always part of this great organization. So glad to see him here.
He's texting.
2-2 to Murphy, who fanned his first time, and he goes up the middle. And the Mets have their second hit of the night. So Murphy aboard to lead off the bottom of the fourth.
Good at bat for Daniel here. Fastball, wanted it down. Changeup looked like.
Good call, Keith. I think it was a changeup.
Good pitch, got it away and down, but Daniel stays right in. I think they're going to find out that Daniel waits extra long, extra second when he's got two strikes. He's a tough two-strike hitter.
You know what it is? He's unusual. He's a good breaking ball hitter as a young hitter. You don't see that very often.
So now here's David Wright, who struck out his first time up. David has hit in each of the first 7 games this year. Second time around the batting order against Kevin Correa, a guy who really struggled last year with the Giants, going 3-8 with a 6.05 ERA.
Yeah, the league hit 310 off him.
Pitch count up in the 60s now. Finds the outside corner to David, and it's 1-1. Well,
that's the highest in the National League. If the league hits 300 off you, that's a lot of line drives.
If you're out in the field, it's duck.
Right goes the other way toward the line. Giles, he won't get there. Base hit. Murphy to third. Giles does a nice job cutting it off, and that holds right to a single. The Mets have runners at the corners and nobody out.
Ball away. Let's watch David's approach. Oh, down the pipe. Belt high. That's promising because that pitch has been giving him trouble. And it looked to me like he was trying to. He's been struggling a little bit out in front. So the only way to get yourself from starting quickly is to work the opposite field until you find your groove.
Saw Giles do a great job cutting that ball off, and then found out how close the stands were. He almost had to alligator on that ball throwing it in, because throwing left-handed, he was right up against the stands. So now Delgado, and this is again the fielding out process for everybody in a new ballpark. Delgado takes low for ball 1. Carlos went the other way for a base hit his first time up.
Double play now. The infielders have to play a little more true. Third baseman closer to Daniel Murphy. Up the middle, Rodriguez the shortstop. Second baseman is really playing a natural second base position.
They'll concede a run on a ground ball. As Correa misses low and away 2-0.
Well, lick your chops right here. This is the pitch to hit.
Beltran on deck. Mets with runners in scoring position have been up and down early in the season. Had some good games and some bad ones. 2-0 to Delgado, and that's a strike in the knees. Throwing a 2-0 breaking ball.
Well, I think that's a good take by Delgado, though. That pitch low, one of those pitches he's trying to get a ground ball with. Probably a ball he'll probably hit on the ground.
Well, that broke down. It had a lot of play. Started around an inch outside. But you know what? 2-0, not a good pitch to hit.
You're right.
Unless you're looking for it. And why would you?
3-1.
Delgado hit so many line drives to left like he did for that first base hit. Murphy at third base, got to be careful. Line drive right, make it right back to that bag.
First and third and nobody out. And Delgado pops one foul. 3-2.
Well, we got a fastball right there. We got the slider. 3-1. He can't afford to walk him. He got a pitch. And he just a little bit late. Defense now, you see the infield fairly straight up.
3-2. And he walked him, and the bases are loaded. Came inside with a 3-2 fastball. Second walk given up by Correa, and the Mets are in business. Bases loaded and nobody out with Beltran coming up. And that'll bring Darren Balsley, the San Diego pitching coach, out of the dugout.
Is that your taqueria, Keith?
That is Lavorado.
That is, let me tell you something. That is some kind of taco.
Did you have chicken or beef?
I had the chicken, and they have that verde sauce, Ronnie, that you can put on it that is hot to make it as hot as you want. And it is like the taco I had 19 years old on AA in El Paso.
Well, I understand the lines at Shake Shack have been incredibly long.
Yes.
El Verano is right across the concourse from Shake Shack. If the line's too long at the other place, by all means.
That's right.
Go enjoy the tacos. Takes Keith right back to West Texas. Right where you want to be. There's Shake Shack. Line's always long there. Beltran up, bases loaded, nobody out. And he pulls one foul.
Yeah, Beltran's been doing a lot of first ball hitting this year. He did it in spring, all spring. Much more aggressive. There's a slider. Just got in enough.
How do you call it, especially when he has ducks on the pond, right? Very aggressive.
Beltran walked his first time up tonight. 8 career grand slams. Pulls one toward the home, base hit. And the Mets take the lead. Murphy to score. White stops at third as Giles gets it in quickly. It's an RBI single for Carlos Beltran, and the Mets take a 1-0 lead. 7th run batted in for Carlos Beltran.
Fastball down the pipe, wants it away. 2-0 slider. And it just bled right, didn't bleed. It cut right down the pipe. Nice hitting by Carlos. He knows he made a boo-boo. He's still in trouble.
So the Mets poised for a possible big inning with Gary Sheffield up. Sheffield struck out his first time up. Bats with the bases loaded, nobody out, and a run in. Here in the 4th inning. And Sheffield grounds a double play ball. Rodriguez to Eckstein and on to first. A run comes home. 6-4-3 double play as Wright scores. No RBI. 2-0 New York.
Well, sometimes when you're in trouble, you just got to go to number 1, and that's what Correa did right there. And got Sheffield to hit right into a tailor-made. Here's the base hit. Look at that. It is a beautiful graphic. Would you call that a graphic?
That is the IO pitch differential.
That is absolutely spectacular.
It's an enhancement.
It is to enhance our broadcast.
Exactly. We need all the enhancement we can get.
Absolutely.
But you're an old radio guy. You're supposed to paint those pictures, Garrett.
It's all paint by number now.
He's been with us too long. We've taken it out of him.
Schneider grounded into a double play his first time up. So Correa's gotten a couple of double play balls. This last one, even though it produced a run, really short-circuiting the possibility of a big inning. The San Diego bullpen is up.
Oh, where was that pitch? Look at this. Right to the glove.
It was called a strike.
Well, it was. You're right. I didn't see the right hand go up.
Paul Emmel's got a shallow right hand. A little quick punch.
Okay, I missed it. I was going to say, it was right there.
Not quite the right cross of a Frank Pulley. Schneider struggling early in the year. Was 3 for 19 to begin the season. As Delgado at third with 2 out. Two and 2. Well, more good food at Blue Smoke. The pulled pork, the ribs.
Oh boy.
Chopper right side. Correa will run it himself. 1 unassisted to end the inning. But the Mets put up a pair in the 4th to break the scoreless tie. Daniel Murphy got it all started, and the Mets followed from there. Wright and Beltran with base hits. The Mets score 2 and give Perez a 2-0 lead. On SNY is brought to you by Budweiser, the great American lager.
I was always a Michelob man.
Same company.
Yes.
Got like 20 different Michelobs out there.
I know, but back in our day, there's only one.
Well, Oliver Perez has the lead for the first time. He'll take on the lower third of the San Diego batting order. Nick Hundley struck out his first time up. Ollie's fanned 3 over the first 4 innings. And he throws a strike to Hundley to start him off. In his first start this year, Oliver struck out 7 in 4 1/3. That wasn't necessarily the telling part of his outing. There again, he goes to that off-speed pitch against the right-hand batter.
Oh, that is something that I've wanted him to throw since we've watched Oliver. Gives him such a weapon against the right-handers. He handles the lefties. Lefties have little chance against Oliver. It's the right-handers that usually produce the hits. Another weapon. Very nice. Good line right there.
Well, that off-speed pitch has been a revelation so far tonight. He threw 4 in a row to Kuzminov to strike him out in the last inning. 0-2 to Hundley, hit to right center. Sheffield with his first chance, and he handles it with aplomb. 1 away.
No, routine play. Nice angle right here. Just tremendous camera angles for our director. So he can get very creative in there. I know he gets bored.
First one on the belt for Chef.
How many Emmys does our director have? 38? 38. 38 Emmys. So he knows what he's doing. Here's Luis Rodriguez, who singled his first time up.
And by the way, folks, Bill Webb had enormous input when this ballpark was constructed as for camera angles to enhance the broadcast. Another enhancement.
He is an enhancement. 1-0 to Rodriguez, who has the only hit for the Padres tonight.
We would be the detractors.
Well, somebody has to keep him on.
That's right. You know, it's interesting, though, to watch Oliver getting that big first out. That's key. In Cincinnati, he gave up those. Bronson Arroyo gave up the 4 runs, and Oliver came back out and gave up that lead straight away. So this is a very important inning for his confidence. Keep it rolling.
Well, every time that the Reds scored 4 in the 3rd in that game and 4 in the 5th, after the Mets scored 3 runs in the top of the 3rd and then scored a run to tie, he came back the bottom half and gave it up. So it's important for him. We always said, Ron, to throw a goose egg after your team scores.
A goose egg, and if you're a big league, major league pitcher who's going to be a 15-game winner, you got to bury the 7, 8, 9 hitters in the lineup.
Dunked into shallow center, and Rodriguez is 2 for 2. So Rodriguez, the only man to scratch against Perez, has his second hit. The pitcher will come up with a man on. And as important as it is anyway for Oliver to get on the beam and get into some kind of a rhythm, now with Pelfrey's status a little bit questionable, at least for a start, it becomes even that much more important.
Well, I thought going into the season, the strength for the Mets is going to be, listen, they can hit. They've got all-stars at half the positions. They got Sheffield playing in right. They got some amazing everyday players. The key for them, though, is if they want to get on a roll, is that their starting pitchers have to go deep in the games. They have to be very consistent, and that's when they're going to get on a roll, win 8 out of 10, win 5 in a row, do those kind of things where you breed more and more confidence, go deep in the games, and the next thing you know, you got J.J. Putz and Rodriguez out there.
Correa fouls off the bunt attempt.
Correa is very challenged with this bunt. He failed in his first at bat.
He looks like he has a bit of fear in that batter's box. He doesn't really want to reach all the way over to that other side, because we know Oliver can plant one right under your chin there.
Correa fouled out to the catcher trying to bunt his first time up. 2-0 New York. We're in the 5th. Schneider pounces on it. The play goes to first. 2-4 on the sacrifice, moving Rodriguez to second. 2 away. Time for tonight's Toyota text poll of the game. Tonight's question, other than Johan Santana, who will win the most games this year? It's very timely, given our conversation a moment ago.
Yes.
Pelfrey, Perez, Maine, Hernandez. Text your response to 57508 or visit sny.tv and stay tuned for the results later in the game.
You know you're a good pitcher when you don't even make the text poll. They just take you right out. It's like, who's going to win the U.S. Open this year other than Tiger Woods?
But that's what having an ace is all about.
Yeah,
that
cool.
guy who once every 5 days you don't have to worry about things. You know he's going to go deep into the game and give you a much better than even chance to win. Here's Scott Hairston, who's walked and flied out 0 for 1. And I know you guys have lived through that, having that kind of an ace, and it's got to be a very comforting feeling for a team.
Well, we had 4 guys that were pretty good. If Doc didn't win every game, it's almost like if Doc got beat, which was the 1 year was he lost only 4 games, I believe.
24-4.
Yeah. Ronnie was right behind him, or Bobby O.
Hairston rips one into left field, a base hit. Rodriguez turns third. Murphy makes a quick toss to Reyes, who relays it to the plate, but not in time. The Padres are on the board. Hairston with an RBI single, and that was a very interesting relay play between Murphy and Reyes.
I'll say.
Reyes makes a good throw. He might have gotten Rodriguez.
Watch when Daniel gets the ball. He hasn't even touched third, and he had to lose his grip to make that kind of throw right there.
I don't think I've ever seen that play before on that kind of a base hit.
One thing I've seen similar to that is the time that in center field in Fenway Park, the center fielder Johnny Damon threw the ball and Manny Ramirez caught it. But
He's
here
on the Reyes. You see that on the run?
Yeah.
He had no intention.
No, that's exactly what he planned to do.
There was no intention of him to throw home. You've got to throw home. I'm sorry, Ron. Excuse me.
No. You got it, brother.
He's got to throw home at the cutoff man.
Well, he was handing the ball to the guy with the strongest arm. That's just that I'm not sure Reyes was expecting it.
I don't think that throwing the ball on the run is a bad play, but that ball's going to go through David. You go through David right, then all of a sudden you got a little shorter throw, and the guy is out at home plate.
The third baseman is your cutoff man. Well, here we go here. Watch David. David becomes the cutoff man. He's lining him up right there. His throw. I have never seen that. I've never seen on a base hit an outfielder throw to a non-cutoff man.
Well, we're going to have to ask after the game whether this is something that has been talked about and whether it's at all by design, because that was bizarre.
This is my feeling, and we'll see tomorrow. My feeling is that coming in on the run, did not get a great grip on it. I think that his intent, of course, was to throw it through David. He just kind of held on to it too long. But we'll see. We'll have to ask him tomorrow, because the pictures are telling one story. But for me, he's played the infield. He knows where the ball is supposed to go.
2-0 to Eckstein. A run is in. Taken outside 3-0. He didn't plant. He threw the ball on the run. If he plants and throws home, maybe he has no chance.
No, he's out, because Bobby Valentine always told me.
Murphy, I'm talking about, not Reyes.
Yeah. But as far as throwing home?
Yeah.
Yes. But my point is that we saw in the one shot that when Murphy touched the ball, the runner wasn't even touching third base. Bobby Valentine told me that was always his barometer. If the runner hadn't touched third, he would never send him home when he was third base coach. If they had touched third, he sent them at the point when the outfielder caught the ball. So I think Murphy had a chance to throw him out. Murphy doesn't have a bad arm now.
Runner goes. Eckstein hits one on the ground. Castillo was moving in just the right direction, going to cover. And so he's able to make the play on Eckstein to end the inning. So the Padres get a run. Bizarre defensive play. It's 2-1. He has not been alone, and Jerry Manuel has made a point of talking to the Mets about their defense. Ryan Church had this drop fly ball that led to the winning run on Monday. He's had the infielders out early. He's had the outfielders out early. Today they had pitchers fielding practice before the game, and Murphy in particular right now, I think he may be a little psyched out.
Well, you knew they were going to have a little talk with him. I don't know what was going through his mind to throw the ball to Jose Reyes. I mean, you've got to get that ball and hit the cutoff man, which is David Wright.
Luis Castillo leads off the home fifth and takes the pitch up and away.
Well, we were talking about it before. There's going to be physical errors, but that is not a physical error. That's an error where your choice has to be questioned. You know, those are the things that certainly you want to be spot on about, because everyone is going to let a ball go between their legs occasionally. Someone's going to throw the ball awry. That's going to happen. But, you know, for Daniel, as he goes forward, and like you said, it's not only Daniel. He's not the only one. It's just this is the play that just happened, is that he's going to have to be have a PhD out there on where to throw the ball, what to do with the ball when he gets it. To me, it was a hot potato play. As soon as he got it, I just want to get rid of it.
But Ronnie, doesn't that go back to the first inning? I mean, you had 2 plays in the first inning. The first one where Hairston tagged up at first and went to second as Castillo lifts this ball to Hairston in center field for the first out. And then after that, the very next play, he got rid of the ball too quickly and committed a throwing error. And this one just seemed to compound on those first 2, that he's just looking to get rid of the ball as fast as he can without making the right play.
Well, let me tell you, the first one was he just wants to catch the ball first. So he can't do both of catching and getting in a position to make the throw. Now, the second one, of course, he's getting rid of it too quickly. But I think what has happened, guys, very much like the veteran Luis Gonzalez, who had many elbow surgeries, the book is out. And what they're going to do, because this is such a cruel league, cruelty is a given here in this league. They are going to test him each and every single time until he proves and throws someone out at second base or home. And then, okay, the jam will be off.
Ollie trying to bunt for a hit, and it's 0-2.
And that's when it'll stop, you know. But until then, they're going to make him prove every single time that, you know, that ground ball down the line that looks like a double, can he make the throw to second? Taking extra bases, all those things that that you wouldn't do against a veteran like a Beltran or someone who's been out there for years, but they're going to test him early. That's just how this league works.
0-2 to Perez, and the breaking ball just missed. 1-2.
All of a sudden, Correa has starting to develop a good curveball here. Through his best curveball of the night. There's the balls and strikes, RJ.
That's high. He only got 1 out. You think he's going to have 10 or 12 more pitches. That gets him in the mid-90s unless he gets lucky.
One, 2. And Keith, the next question you have to ask about Murphy as these difficulties compound themselves in the field is how difficult it is for him to separate that so that it doesn't follow him to the plate.
Well, that's the true test, because it can be distracting. You know, Daniel's a very conscientious kid. He works hard. He's playing out of position. It's tough enough to hit, let alone having to go out there, and particularly in the spotlight of New York with the media. It's not like playing in St. Louis or Cincinnati. You've got a whole fishbowl here, a big fishbowl in New York.
And it's not like he's a veteran player like you talk about Luis Gonzalez, a guy who understands his limitations and has something to fall back on. Big cut by Ollie, and he fouls it off.
I think, though, because he's playing out of position, he is going to get a lot of compassion. Oliver trying to go deep. He's going to get a lot of compassion from the coaches, and they're going to be very instructive. There's not going to be any yelling and screaming. It'll be, hey, listen, this is a project. It's going to take all year long, and a lot of encouragement.
Struck him out with a high fastball. Second time Ollie's been fanned. 5 strikeouts now for Correa, and he's retired the first 2 here in the bottom of the 5th.
He's going up the ladder on Ollie like last time.
He's into the game. That's great.
I love it. I love it.
So Reyes bats with 2 out and nobody on. Jose has popped up and grounded out. Now 1 for 6 in this series. Kevin Correa in his second start for the Padres after a rough spring training. He pitched credibly against the Dodgers his first time out to a no decision, and same thing again tonight as Reyes takes low for ball 1.
That was almost a gimme right there. As a pitcher, you're thinking last time he was up, he swung at the first pitch, made it out. Next time he comes up after a long at bat by the pitcher who just struck out, he almost always takes that pitch. Almost a freebie by Correa, but he couldn't throw it for a strike.
The Mets having just a little hard time getting on track here in their home turf, their new home stadium.
Still trying out the furniture. Reyes thinks about a bunt and takes low 2-1.
And as far as I'm concerned with this ball club, the least of my concerns is their offense.
Yeah. Well, I always felt, Keith, I don't know if you feel this way. I thought it was always advantage pitcher in these cold weather games. You know, it's a little hard to get loose. You're out there in the field for maybe 15, 20 minutes on a tough inning. Then you got to come in and get your hacks. A pitcher, he's throwing the ball, you know, staying warm, sweating out there.
Temperature now at 46 degrees. Started out 48 at game time.
That means it's probably around 37 out in Sag Harbor. Let's get the fire going, honey.
3-1 foul dog. That's all right. You'll have your dog at your feet, your pipe and your slippers. You'll be very comfortable.
Thurston.
Three and two to Reyes with 2 out. And Jose bounces 1 foul.
I was just thinking of Daniel Murphy in that on-deck circle. If you've gone to this, Mr. Met, I remember when you're having a bad game pitching and you have to come out there and stand in the on-deck circle. Of course, you get the comments from the crowd letting you know how good or bad you were doing. And I'm sure he's going to get some of that there. That's always the loneliest place after a strange inning.
Again, the 3-2, and he rips it into right field, a base hit. So Reyes is aboard with a 2-out single, and Murphy will get a chance to do with his bat what he couldn't do with his glove and arm.
Nice at bat by Jose, Keith.
Yes. Nice curveball, stayed back. Jose's swung the bat good all spring training. He hasn't had a good homestand so far, going second game. But he's swinging the bat good. And there's a submariner. What number is that?
That's Clay Meredith. He's the only sidearm.
42 today.
He's the only San Diego pitcher we can identify for the moment until they get to Sanchez and Bell. So let's see if Reyes tries to swipe one. He has just 1 steal this year, and Murphy hits one on the ground to second base for Eckstein. So 1 pitch and Murphy's retired. That'll do it for the Mets in the 5th. 5 in the books on a beautiful clear night in New York. Heart of the batting order coming up for the Padres, 2-1 Mets. Brian Custer and Brandon Tierney will take on all the news surrounding the Mets opening week at Citi Field, plus debate the Hot 9 New York sports topics of the day in the Wheelhouse, weekdays at 5:30 only on SNY. Oliver Perez working with a 2-1 lead against the heart of the San Diego batting order, the 2 left-hand hitters, Giles and Gonzalez, and then the switch hitting Headley. Giles twice has flied to left, and he takes ball 1. 2-0 to Giles. Brian Giles started the year with a lifetime on-base percentage of .404.
Wow.
But really struggling to start this year at age 38.
He can work a walk and to get on leading off an inning, though, I'll tell you. Tried to tie that game up there on that 2-0 pitch,
yes,
didn't he?
Yes, he did. He had one down. He had a pitch to hit. And that's a good time at this point in the game. When you get 2-0, look middle in. Try to launch one if you get it.
Giles at one time a very dangerous home run hitter, but not anymore. Hit at the knees for a strike. 2-2. Adrian Gonzalez on deck, and then Chase Headley. Giles launches one deep to right field, right down the line, hooking toward the pole. It's a foul ball into the second deck. The Pepsi porch collected that one, but just foul.
There it is. Roll around 5 feet.
You know, one thing, it didn't come into play here, but I've taken note the first few days in this ballpark, those foul poles are not very tall. And you're going to get a ball that's hit exceptionally high on which that may come into play.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for the umpires to call a home run that goes, you know, that's one of those towering blasts over the foul pole.
If you'll remember Shea Stadium, the foul poles came up above the bottom of the upper deck. Now, the promenade here, and you can see it better in left field, that's right field. The promenade level here is about 30 feet lower than the upper deck at Shea. That's in there for a call strike 3. And you see how the foul pole here is just above the bottom of the promenade. So I have to say these foul poles are about 25 feet shorter than the ones at Shea Stadium. And you get a ball hit up high, it might present a problem for an umpire. Nice looking breaking ball by Ollie to get Giles looking for the first out.
6th strikeout for Ollie.
Here's Adrian Gonzalez. Gonzalez has struck out and walked 0 for 1.
I did it again, Garrett, for the second time.
You didn't flip your page?
I didn't flip my page. That was Correa with 6. You're right. 4. You know what? I may have to go see a doctor. I may have the beginning stages of Alzheimer's.
Nothing to laugh at, you know.
I know.
Hit sharply, but right at Castillo, has plenty of time to make the recovery and throws out Gonzalez 2 away. Time to check in with the studio, Chris Carlin, and this update. All right, Chris, here's Chase Headley with 2 out and nobody on. Headley has grounded to third and lined to center 0 for 2. Oliver Perez has allowed just 3 hits. Sean Green is up in the Mets bullpen.
We know our guys.
We know our 42s on that side. Backdoors the slider for a strike, and it's 1-1.
Well, Oliver, it's been fun to watch him pitch tonight. When he gets behind, he's been able to throw his breaking ball for a strike. He's facing an overly aggressive hitter. He's been able to throw his changeup. He throws his fastball out of the strike zone when he's ahead 0-2 and 1-2.
He's pitching tonight.
He is pitching.
Knee high strike with the fastball, and it's 1-2.
That's the barbecue pit back there. That's all those restaurants. Right behind the Lincoln Mercury sign.
You know what that is? That's blue smoke.
There you go. Well, Oliver knows a little bit about blue smoke tonight.
Low and away. 2-2. Headley not biting at that changeup.
Boy, he's throwing that 87 miles an hour, too. That is a very good and hard split finger.
Grinder wants the slider. Tied him up. Did he go? Check it first. No swing. Gary Darling with the call, and it's 3-2.
I thought he held up.
Three and 2 to Headley. Driven to right at Sheffield. Side retired. Sheffield handles his second chance. Ollie has his second 1-2-3 inning. Still 2-1 New York. As the series with the Padres concludes tomorrow night at 7:10. Then the Brewers come to town this weekend. Call 718-507-TIXX or visit Mets.com now for your tickets. Let's answer our Aflac trivia question after the 56th season. Whom did the Giants trade for Jackie Robinson? Dick Littlefield.
Okay.
Now, when Jackie then refused to report and retired, did Littlefield get sent back?
Oh, maybe.
Luke Gregerson will take over the pitching for the Padres as we go to the 6th inning.
Well, like the rest of that bullpen, you see that 0 ERA. He has been outstanding so far going into his 5th game. St. Xavier University, drafted in the 28th round by the St. Louis Cardinals.
He was picked up by the Padres during spring training this year as the player to be named later in the deal that sent Khalil Green to the Cardinals. Part of the batting order for New York, Wright, Delgado, and Beltran. They combined to put up a couple of runs in the 4th inning, and Wright takes a strike. Beltran with an RBI single. Sheffield's double play grinder brought home the 2nd run that right now is the difference in a 2-1 game.
See Gregerson, little sinker slider as we see. I think Sean Green's still up. It's a guess. Maybe Bobby Parnell.
No, it's Sean. No, you're right. It's
Bobby Parnell.
There's a strike, and it's 1-2 to Wright. David has now hit in all 8 games this year. Single to Wright and scored in the 4th.
Gregerson's got a bit of a herky-jerky motion.
Short arms it.
And he gets him with a slider, right down swinging, one away.
Well, this is one of those cases when you don't know a pitcher and you know he's sinker slider, but you don't know the slider's that good. Ball started running the outside corner, and David can't handle it.
Luke Gregerson has been terrific so far. Now he's pitched 5 1/3 innings, no runs, 3 hits. Guy who had not pitched above the Texas League before this year.
Yeah, and his best year was in Palm Beach in the minor leagues. 53 games, 29 saves. So he does have the kind of stuff that can close games. Here working in the middle, though.
Delgado has singled to left and drawn a walk. So he's been on base twice, and they put the full shift on against Carlos with nobody on base. Hits it into the shift, and the shortstop, Rodriguez, with a nice reaching grab, throws him out. Well, shift or no shift, it took some fancy work by Rodriguez.
Well, what makes this play tough is that he's playing that a little bit where he's got to worry about this ball off the lip of the grass. And he probably should have been playing a little bit deeper so you don't have that to worry about. That is distracting, trust me.
That and Delgado hit it about 100 miles an hour.
He crushed it.
So 2 out and nobody on, and here's Beltran, who singled home a run his last time up, and he takes a strike. Carlos also has drawn a walk. Kevin Correa, the starter, went 5 innings, allowed 2 runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, but the Mets had a lot of long at bats, a lot of foul balls, and so he threw 98 pitches in 5 innings.
And here's a guy that has gone back and forth from relieving and starting. And I think early in the season, I think most managers are just like what Jerry said. You know, around 95 to 100 pitches, don't want to stretch it on a cool evening.
Little topper right in front of the plate, easy for Hundley to throw out Beltran, and the Mets are a quick prey for Luke Gregerson, who throws his 6th shutout inning to begin his big league career. On to the 7th. Mets with a 2-1 lead.
Eventually, this outside portion of the Acela Club will be open. Basically, inside it's gorgeous. There's 4 levels, seats 350 people, and the food is very good. Now, I can't say that I've had it. My wife had it, said it was great on opening day. I'll have to get around to that. But it's true Nia Perent's group, the Myriad group. So it's Tribeca Grill, Nobu. So you know it's good food. Basically, how it works. There's 2 seatings, but it's not only 2 sittings. So basically, the restaurant opens at 4:45, and they kind of do a staggered seating, like 4:45, 5:15. That group essentially is washed out by the time the first pitch comes, and then the second seating is 6:45, 7, and 7:15. And essentially, that second seating gets to hang out and kind of watch the game, which is the way to go if you can get it. Reservation only. And it's not everybody in the stadium. Your ticket either has to say Acela Club, or you have to have a certain ticket. So it's not every single ticket in the ballpark. And if there are open tables, they say they will take walk-ins. And apparently there's some seats outside available.
Kevin, I'm sorry I misrepresented your location. When I heard you were in the Acela Club, I assumed you were staying warm.
Well, this is technically part of the Acela Club. You know, Gary, I like to be outside with the people, get the flavor going.
Go inside or put some gloves on. Bobby Parnell is on to pitch for the Mets in the 7th inning. See, they're warm. Good strike. Kuzminoff takes a strike, 0-2.
Well, Kevin, you mentioned the Tribeca Grill and, of course, Nobu. Don't forget Corton and the My House. Those 2 awesome restaurants too.
You see the numbers for Parnell on the air. And a late swing foul by Kuzminov. So Oliver Perez comes out after 6 innings and only 90 pitches, and I guess this would be one of those get him out on a high note kind of decisions.
Absolutely. He pitched really well. Everything he had was working. If you wanted him to go, maybe, Jerry has said 8-9 pitches. Nice play by Parnell there up the middle.
One away.
He always wanted to keep his pitchers underneath 100, especially in this kind of weather, so he opted to bring Parnell in and get Oliver can go in the clubhouse. He can walk with his chest out and his shoulders back, feeling good about his effort today.
You can feel good about that off-speed pitch he's developed.
Oh, I love it.
And now the game plan will be Parnell in the 7th, Puts in the 8th, K-Rod in the 9th. Here's Nick Hundley, who struck out and fly to right, and just in case they need the lefty, Pedro Feliciano, who I guess will pitch every day this season, is on call. Pedro was in 86 games last year, which is a lot. In fact, it was a Mets club record. But as the only lefty in that bullpen for the moment, he's not going to be a day that goes by that he doesn't at least get up in the bullpen. There's a strike, 1-1 to Hundley.
Yeah, totally agreed. And wait till he gets in the National League East, right? When you're going through some of those teams with Chipper trying to turn him around. The Phillies, of course, with Utley, Howard, who you've seen, but you haven't seen Ibanez yet.
Of course, at some point this year, there might be another lefty in the Mets bullpen, guys by the name of Wagner.
Yes.
So he threw 23 pitches the other day. Here's the Mets bullpen this season.
And if Wagner, who was ahead of schedule, can come back, I think Billy would be amenable to being kind of a middle, late left-hander coming out of the pen.
Well, I think, the thing about the National League East, when you really get into it on the dog days in August and September, so when you face the Phillies, you've got to have a left-hander if the game is starting to get away from you in the 5th or 6th inning to make sure that you retire Utley or Howard or Ibanez so he can keep you close so he can come back. So you need a lefty there, and you might need him again when they come up.
Especially in that ballpark down in Philadelphia, where you can play those 10 to 8 games. 2-2 to Nick Hundley with 1 out. Bouncing ball right with the short hop. And he guns him down 2 away. Nice job by David to come in and get the short hop rather than that in-between hop. So 2 out and nobody on. Tomorrow at 6:30, John Mayne looks for a solid start against Padres ace Jake Peavy as the Mets finish up their first series here at Citi Field. Mets-Padres coverage begins with KFC pregame live tomorrow at 6:30, only on SNY.
I only got to watch that game that you guys did in Florida. Mayne looked good to me. How does he look in person?
He looked excellent.
Okay, good.
It was the best he's thrown spring training to now. It was a terrific start.
Gave up the 2 solo home runs to Ramirez and Ugla, but those were the only 2 hits he allowed.
And they're just 2 fastballs. He wanted to get in and left out over the plate a little bit. He had a good slider and a good changeup.
And he had that life upstairs
Yes.
that you like to see from John Mayne. Luis Rodriguez turning around to bat left-handed against Parnell. Went 2 for 2 as a right-hand hitter against Ollie as you look at the bridge out in right center.
People milling about.
It's a totally different experience for the fan than it was at Shea Stadium, where you sat in your seat and you never left your seat.
In the air to left center field, Murphy calling. And Beltran will back him up. Murphy makes the catch. A 1-2-3 inning for Bobby Parnell in the top of the 7th. 7th inning stretch time. Mets 2, Padres 1. How do you think Citi Field will play differently from Shea Stadium? Gentlemen?
Well, I think that everyone's been talking about the outfield, and that's, I guess, kind of obvious. But I asked Jerry Manuel last night at the Welcome Home Mets dinner, I said, how's the infield playing? And the infielders like the surface. They said they love it. Say really true hops. It's a beautiful surface, and it's not too quick.
I think it's going to play differently in the outfield. That right field corner, the Mo zone, is going to be real fun this year. I like the high fences, much like Jack Murphy Stadium, the old San Diego ballpark. So I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things happening out in the outfield with the different angles.
Speaking of the outfield, Gary Sheffield in his first start as a Met leads off in the home 7th inning against Luke Gregerson.
Are you sure it's still Luke? It's number 42.
I believe it is still Luke.
He's going by arm angles now. They look like the same arm angle.
Well, Luke had a great 6th inning. And he throws a high breaking ball to Sheffield, and it's 2-0. Sheffield struck out with 2 men on in the 2nd, and then with the bases loaded in the 4th, grounded into a double play. As he did so, the 2nd Met run scored. So Sheffield's come up with 5 men on base tonight and gone 0 for 2, but that double play grounder right now is the difference in the game.
There you go.
Now batting with nobody on.
I'd give Sheffield the 3-0 hit sign.
And he takes inside ball 4, and the Mets have the leadoff man on in the bottom of the 7th. So Gregerson, after a fine 6th inning, walks the leadoff hitter in the 7th.
Leadoff walks. They always find a way to score.
Bunting with Schneider here?
No. You're going to pinch hit Putz? You saying that Putz is coming in?
Yeah, I think they're going to pinch hit for Parnell if it gets down there.
I just loved Schneider in spring training with the hit and run. They did it early and often. Beautiful time to do it. You have a sinker ball slider pitcher. Something's going to be on the ground.
Give him 1 strike. Yes. Nope. Okay. Playing for the extra run.
How about now? Throwing a ball, you could do it now, right?
Absolutely.
You have everyone charging, and even opens up that infield even more.
Exactly. Very good point, Ron.
And you've also got a pitcher now with the catcher and the first baseman going to the mound. He's thrown 5 in a row out of the strike zone. He's likely to give you a pitch to hit for the hit and run.
It's this is part of the cat and mouse of baseball. The beauty of it, that the manager can have the bunt on and take it off and switch to a hit and run, or let the guy just swing. There's a nice hole between short and third.
Your other option, you could pinch run Reed for Sheffield. Get a little more speed.
Way outside. Yeah, that's a good point, because Jerry said he was going to pull Sheffield out of the game anyway if it gets late with a lead. And it certainly is getting late at this point. And that's a great point you make, Ronnie, about pinch running for Sheffield in this spot.
Because you're going to bring in Reed anyways, probably, you know?
It's too close a game to lose a bat.
Yeah, that's a point too. Absolutely. You go 15 tonight, Keith.
2-0 now to Schneider, and there's ball 3. So that's 7 pitches, 7 balls from Gregerson after he threw the 1-2-3 6th inning against the heart of the order. So whatever time he spent in the dugout, he lost his command of the strike zone.
And if I was Schneider, I'd square around again. There's Ryan Church getting ready. I'd square around again, just because it looks like it's bothering Gregson a little.
Taking all the way, it's high ball 4, and the Mets have 2 men on. So Gregerson throws 8 straight out of the strike zone. And the Mets looking to build on a 2-1 lead, get Castillo up there, and almost certainly you're going to bunt with Castillo with Church to bat for the pitcher.
Well, that is the play. Now you got a guy who can really move that ball around, make the third baseman handle it. Sheffield, of course, going to have to get a good jump at second base. That's why he's talking to Razor Shines now. They're going over the signs, what they intend to do. Darren Balzio out there, of course, to talk to Gregson, kind of settle him down.
Well, Castillo is very good at directing his bunts. On the other hand, if you're Bud Black, it's hard to play the wheel against a position player. So you don't really worry about that play at third as long as you get that that bunt in the right direction.
And one other point too, if you sacrifice successfully with Castillo, you can't walk Church because you cannot pitch to Jose Reyes because you can't double him up. You have to pitch to Church.
And they don't have a lefty to bring in for the bullpen to face Church because they're all right-handed. 13 pitchers on this San Diego staff, not a single left-hander.
That's almost hard to do. I don't know how they do that.
there's Church on deck. Castillo at the plate. They look for the bunt. And a spin move by Gregerson, and Sheffield back standing.
Now, the one thing you have to see here is I'd like to see Castillo, who knows how to bunt for a base hit. I want him to totally give himself up. Turn around and push that ball. Make Kuzmanov, who's not a great fielder, field that ball so he can get Sheffield to third. That's more important.
And it's ball one. That's 9 straight balls from Gregerson, and they did play the wheel play that time, and that's a little surprising. You don't often see that with a position player at the plate.
Wheel right here. Watch the shortstop break over. That's what that's all about.
That leaves the middle of the diamond completely open for a guy who can handle the bat like Castillo.
Exactly. You're saying that, Gary, because if a pitcher's up, you know they can't really hit very well. But a position player, Castillo's one of those guys, pulls the back, little butcher boy play, and hit a base hit up the middle.
At this point, I'd be inclined to take a strike.
Oh,
that's 10 in a row he's thrown out of the strike zone. I mean, why give him an out at this point? Make him throw a strike. And that'll get Darren Balsley on the phone to the bullpen.
What's your favorite song, Keith?
What?
Is that the Tighten Up there?
Go the Archie Bell? Or you're scared, get a dog?
I thought it was Walk On By.
Here we go. Jeez.
There's Buddy.
I think, he's already had a visit to the mound. Balsley went out there. If Black had crossed the line, he would have been forced to change pitchers.
Yep.
Bud came a few steps out, realized, and made a U-turn.
Wow.
Second visit of the inning is an automatic pitching change, and that's, now he's given a little extra time to the bullpen, and so he will make the move. And they will bring in another right-hander to be named later. Well, now he crossed the line. Now he's got to go.
Yes. What is the confusion?
I think the question was because Balsley made an earlier visit
to the same pitcher.
You can't make the 2 visits within the course of the same batter.
Well, of course he's got a pull. Let's see.
See, he didn't know there was a force field there. You got to stay there until they let it go down.
This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Gregerson leaves after throwing 10 straight out of the strike zone.
Okay, we need.
All right, your guess.
We need a little help here. Need a little help.
Early on, Kevin Correa was dealing too, but Ollie staying right with him 0 for 0 until Carlos Beltran drove in the first run of the game in the 4th, and the Mets have been in front ever since. Ollie leaving after 6 to much adulation, and now the Mets trying to tack on for the bullpen in the 7th. They've got the first 2 men on, a 2-0 count to Luis Castillo, and Edward Mujica takes over the pitching.
Mujica, who was the pitched in Buffalo last season, you could see his won and loss. He got to win the first game of this series by throwing 1 pitch. And then the Padres rallied. Got to try to get out of big trouble here. 2-0 count that Gregerson left him.
Sheffield at second and Schneider at first with nobody out. 2-0 the count to Castillo, who has been looking to bunt on the first 2 pitches.
In at the corners. Double play depth up the middle.
They play straight up, and he gets the bunt down beautifully. Mujica overruns it, and the bases are loaded. Mujica was thinking about third, where he would have had no play, and he simply failed to pick the ball up.
That is not Mujica's play, is it, Keith?
It's the third baseman's ball. What's he thinking here? He's got to come get that ball. Good bunt by Louis now. Let's not take that away. He's bunting to force the third baseman to field the ball, to vacate third base.
And Kuzminoff didn't vacate.
And Kuzminoff a hard time making a choice there. He stutter stepped.
So the Mets have the bases loaded and nobody out. It'll be scored a bunt single for Castillo, and now Ryan Church will bat for the pitcher Parnell with a chance to open up a bigger lead. Mets lead 2-1. The infield comes in. And Church up there to hack. Fouls off the first one. Ryan has 2 career grand slams. This is the first game he has not started this year. Went 0 for 3 on Monday. Giving way to Sheffield today. There's a strike, and Mujica gets ahead 0-2.
He got a call there, I think, Ronnie.
That ball looked down, didn't it? I think Ryan thought it was down also. But in Paul Emmel's defense, he has been a low ball strike umpire the entire night.
Churchill, you see his numbers with the bases loaded. As a pinch hitter, he's hitting just .210 for his career. 0-2. Inside, off the mid of the catcher, Hundley. Here comes Sheffield to score, and it's 3-1 New York. On 0-2, he comes up and in. Hundley can't snag it, and a run comes home.
Well, he wanted the ball away. He was set up outside.
Hundley stopped that ball from hitting Paul Emmel in the face mask. Very nice reaction by Sheff. Scored a third run. And they've been great, this bullpen for San Diego, but this has been as bad as it gets.
Well, 2 walks to lead the inning off.
Now it's 1-2 to Church. Infield still in, and Church goes down swinging at the breaking ball. So Mujica strikes out Church for the first out of the inning.
Pretty good slider right here, Ronnie.
Well, it stays inside and then right under the bat. Good late break.
By the way, they scored on a wild pitch, and rightly so on Mujica, allowing the run to come in. Now they're going to walk Reyes intentionally. You see Bud Black putting up the 4 fingers. Now they'll bring up Murphy with the bases loaded. So Gregerson walked a pair. Castillo with the bunt that the Padres played poorly to load the bases. A wild pitch scores a run. Church strikes out, and now they'll reload the bases by walking Reyes.
Well, it's the right move. You're always going to go after the rookie. Let the rookie beat you, or the youngster here. And
Clay Meredith up in the bullpen for the Padres.
This is a good matchup for Daniel Murphy here. You got a sinker ball pitcher. You can do 1 of 2 things they've been pitching Daniel inside the first game of the series and tonight. When you're young, you don't think this way, but you can look for one pitch, first pitch, look in. Or you can stay and say, okay, I am going to wait for this sinker. He's going to throw me that sinker. He wants a double play. He's going to go out there and try to get me to pull it to second base, take it into the left center field gap.
Well, the Padres certainly could use a lefty against this team. And they're going to play the Phillies after this series is over, and they could use one there as well. The infield back at double play depth for Bud Black. Murphy 1 for 3, singled and scored back in the 4th. Bases loaded, 1 out. And he takes it low for ball 1. Murphy worked a 10-pitch at bat before striking out in the first. 5-pitch at bat in the fourth, then went after the first pitch in the fifth and grounded out.
Left fielder Headley is too shallow for Murphy. Has a lot of power to left field.
And at the knees for a strike, 1-1.
And we noticed that last night. They did it last night. 2 days ago on opening night.
They're going to get burnt. Can't play there. Headley's a good outfielder, not great.
One. Murphy fouls it away, and now Mojica ahead of him, 1-2.
Well, Daniel had his 2 pitches to hit. He got 2 sinkers away into his zone. Took the first one 1-0. Fouled this one back. Now he's got to bear down. He got to shorten up.
Trying to get that fly ball at least to get a run in. Mets have a run home here in the 7th and lead 3-1. Fouled away.
Boy, those days and days and weeks of situational hitting.
Check Murphy's eyes out here. He is protecting the plate. And they're going to stay away.
Bounce foul.
Tried to get that curveball that struck out Church.
Yes.
He left it out over the plate too much. Allowed Daniel to get a piece.
You see what he's done in his brief career. He hasn't had a whole lot of at-bats against lefties, but has certainly not been overwhelmed by them. You're facing the right-hander Mojica. 1-2. In tight with the fastball. 94 at the belt buckle. 2-2.
That'll make you jump back a little bit.
Care to dance?
This will be the 7th pitch at bat to Murphy with the bases loaded. Fouled away. They'll do it again.
Mojica, by the way, has a nice arm. You can see why they've gotten some success out of that bullpen. 95 miles an hour. Good slider.
Padres sent a player to be named later to the Indians right at the end of spring training to get Mojica, one of the guys who was late in the door. They've had a few of those. Long turn at bat for Murphy with the bases loaded and 1 out. And Murphy hits it in the air to right center field. That'll get a run home at least. Giles back has it lined up. Schneider tags. He'll come in to score. It's a sacrifice fly for Daniel Murphy. Castillo moves over to third, and it's 4-1 New York. So Murphy gets it done.
Nice at bat here. Daniel stays back, does what he has to do. Easy tag up right there.
Great at bat, though. Like we talked about, they had all those situational hitting. You see not only the Schneider tag up, but also the runner on second advances to a base. Like to see that.
So now David Wright will step in. David singled and scored back in the fourth. We'll see whether Reyes tries to swipe a base here. He's at first, and Castillo at third with 2 down. There's a fastball strike to right.
Well, this inning all started with 2 walks, and that's always death. And that's taking full advantage.
Murphy, who's had his problems in the outfield tonight, coming through with the offense. Singled and scored in the fourth. Drives in his insurance run in the 7th. There goes Reyes, and the ball gets away. Coming in from third, Castillo. The toss by Hundley. Safe. The ball goes to the backstop. Reyes goes to third. Takes a turn. He's trying to score. Reyes heading for the plate. He scores from first base. And it's 6-1 New York.
I got to wonder if Hundley was crossed up. Nice effort on the throw. Reyes alertly keeps his eye on the ball and then the blazing speed.
Well, Gonzalez had to go retrieve that ball at the backstop, and by the time he recovered, he made a throw that wasn't even close. Meanwhile, the pitcher Mujica might have been shaken up on the play as he had Castillo sliding into him. And you see Gonzalez coming in from first to retrieve it, just making a desperation toss. Couldn't get Reyes.
Well, nice base running all the way around for the Metsies.
It's a stolen base for Reyes. I assume that it's a pass ball, allowing both runs to score.
Well, Mujica's shaking his head. I'm fine. Probably got spiked there. That's what happens when you're blocking the plate and the runner comes in.
Well, this is a very ugly inning for the Padres.
They've apparently charged an error somewhere along the line on that play. I guess on the throw by Hundley.
Yes. Yep.
So Reyes takes third on the pass ball, then scores on the throwing error by the catcher. Making sure Mujica is okay after having Castillo slide into him. So it's a stolen base, a passed ball, and an error combining on the same play to score 2 runs, and the Mets have put up 4 in the 7th.
Well, this is an ugly inning. The Padres have earned every bit of it. Just sloppy play.
Apparently they called it a wild pitch, not a pass ball. I'm not sure how you do that. It's a ball Hundley certainly should have caught. 1-1 to right with 2 out and nobody on, and he takes a strike.
Well, that's the second time I've seen a runner score from first base on a pass ball or wild pitch, whatever. Mike Schmidt in Shea Stadium. Old Shea Stadium scored on a wild pitch.
Adrian Gonzalez at first base has got to charge in too. He's got to be the backup guy trying to cover home. That's why he was late recovering that ball. He did not come in.
Wright lifts it to right field. Giles with plenty of room puts it away. The Mets in the bottom of the 7th score 4 runs. The only hit in the inning, a bunt single by Castillo, and it's 6-1 New York. Jackie Robinson night at Citi Field. Always a very special night, and even more so this year with the dedication earlier today of the Jackie Robinson Rotunda, the entryway here at Citi Field. Mets have taken a 6-1 lead as we go to the 8th inning. Everybody wearing 42, and this one is Jeremy Reed, who's now in left field for the Mets. Ryan Church, who pinch hits, stays in the game in right field. And on to pitch in the top of the 8th inning is J.J. Putz.
This is one of those cases where you might say to yourself, it's a 6-1 game. Wise puts in this kind of weather, when you get one of these guys up that's going to be so important for you all season long, you want him to get in the ball game.
Jody Garrett will pinch hit for the Padres, first man up against Putz, and Garrett pops the first pitch up. So I guess he's not going to homer tonight. David Wright makes the play for the first out. Garrett had homered not only in the opener at Citi Field, but in the last 4 games he played against the Mets. Let's go to Chris Carlin in the studio for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, thanks very much, Chris. Meanwhile, 1 out in the 8th inning here, and Scott Hairston the batter. Hairston has driven in the only San Diego run with a 5th inning single, 1 for 2, and he lines this one to center field. It'll fall in for a base hit. So Hairston has his 2nd hit of the night. A 1-out single in the 8th. If you're keeping a scorecard for the Mets, the pitcher puts bats second. Reed goes into the 6 hole where Sheffield had been. And they're all wearing number 42. You see the scorecard in the Padres dugout. So here's David Eckstein, who's gone 0 for 3 tonight. Eckstein has flied out, popped up, and grounded out. The Padres have had just 4 hits. Oliver Perez allowed just 3 hits through 6 innings, and he's in line for his first win of the year as Eckstein takes a fastball for a strike. Bobby Parnell pitched a 1-2-3 7th, and now puts working in the 8th. There goes Hairston. You better steal that successfully if you're running down 5 runs in the 8th inning. Mets don't even bother to throw, and Hairston has his 2nd steal of the year. Sheffield and Murphy both coming out of the game for defense, and
talking about hitting.
maybe they should be talking about defense.
Well, I'll tell you, when you get a young guy like that and you're with a guy who hit 499 home runs and 1,600 plus RBIs, you want to be able to get whatever kind of knowledge you can. But he's really, Murphy's describing his at-bats at Sheffield, trying to get some confirmation, isn't he?
Yep. No question.
Eckstein pops one up. Right in Reyes. Right takes charge. 2 out.
Hey, it's always good to talk about your at-bats pitch by pitch with someone or with another hitter.
Well, with you early on, it was with Rusty all the time that you would discuss your at-bats. And the great thing about Rusty is that he would tell you like it is. If he, you know, you think that you're doing something, and he would tell you, no, I didn't see that. Want an honest opinion.
Sheffield, his first start as a Met tonight, 0 for 2 and a walk. Raced home on that wild pitch in that ugly 7th inning. 4 runs on 1 bunt single. Now that's making something out of nothing. Brian Giles fouls one off. Here are your Chivas probable pitchers for tomorrow night. John Maine makes his 2nd start of the year. Jake Peavy his 3rd for San Diego. Whenever Peavy or Chris Young go to the mound, Padres have a pretty good chance.
Yes. Peavy, he can take over the game. Look at that base on balls to strikeouts, 2-18. There's a hitting coach now getting involved with Sheff and Murph.
What are the odds that Jake Peavy is going to spend the whole year in San Diego?
Yeah, no.
They tried their best to trade him during the offseason, couldn't get what they thought was full value. It's split by puts, and it's 0-2.
Well, the problem is that they're in first place. They're 6-2. Good split finger here. Starts in the middle of the plate. Whoa.
Bottom dropped out.
That is a good one.
Yes, it is.
Last time they were 6-2 was 1998. That was a pretty good year for San Diego.
National League champions that year.
Peavy almost wound up in Chicago with the Cubs, correct?
Braves wanted him to. 0-2. Hit on the ground is short, right at Reyes. And so Putz comes on, throws up a 0 in the top of the 8th. We head for the bottom of the 8th at Citi Field. Mets cruising 6-1. Get your 2009 Mets season tickets for the inaugural season at Citi Field and see the action from great field level locations. Log on to Mets.com now or call 718-507-TIXX for your Mets season tickets. Great seats, great place, and a great time. And Luis Perdomo, all of 6 feet and 170 pounds, will take over the pitching for the Padres.
Well, he's got a pretty good fastball, but really his pitch is his slider and his changeup. He'll use that changeup a lot against the left-handed hitting Delgado, who's coming to the plate.
It'll be Delgado, Beltran, and Reed for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. Mets scored 4 runs on 1 hit in the 7th. A couple of walks, a bunt single that was mishandled, a wild pitch, an intentional walk, a stolen base that led to a wild pitch that led to an error that scored 2 more runs.
It was an incredibly ugly inning.
You won't see that on any video for any clinics here in the New York area. I'll tell you, that was awful.
I'll tell you what, though, that last play where Reyes stole second and wound up scoring, you'll see that on highlight films tonight.
Well,
you know, that's a not the top 10 play. Delgado 1 for 2 and a walk. Hit a ball very sharply his last time up that the shortstop Rodriguez made a nice play on. There's a strike.
I don't know what to say about that inning. It's hard to score. Score it.
Say it from the heart. 1-1 to Delgado. Carlos with 470 major league home runs, the most ever by a player from Puerto Rico, and now the 4th most by a player born outside the 50 states. Only Sammy Sosa, Rafael Palmeiro, and Manny Ramirez, among players born outside the 50 states, has hit more home runs than Delgado. 1-2 to Carlos.
that's that good changeup right there as Sean Green gets ready to pitch to 9th.
That's with a 5-run lead now, so if possible, Jerry Manuel will stay away from Francisco Rodriguez. Hit in the air to deep right field. Back goes Giles to the track, looking up, and it's out of here! Into the Pepsi porch, the second deck in right field. Career home run number 471 for Carlos Delgado, his 2nd of the year, and it's 7-1 New York. He's going to like that Pepsi porch.
Well, that ball's out of any park. He's telling him what he's throwing, how hard he's throwing, what's the movement.
And now Carlos Beltran takes a strike.
There it goes, back into its cave.
That is a beautiful apple, though, isn't it?
Yes. Hanging slider.
Down and in.
Too much plate, and you don't do that to that man.
Can't live there.
You rub up a new one.
Rub up a new one, college boy. That's what they used to say.
Well, Carlos, by the end of this season, should be right in the neighborhood of 500 home runs for his career.
It's about 900 feet of home runs, isn't it, with the Cincinnati one?
Beltran takes low. Well, if the Mets win tonight, they will set a club record of sorts. It will be the fastest that the Mets have ever gotten a win in a ballpark they call home.
You're right, Gary.
Because when the Mets started action in 1962 playing at the Polo Grounds, they lost their first 7 games at the old Giants ballpark. When they started playing at Shea Stadium in 1964, they lost their first 2 before getting a win over the Pirates. So if they can start this ballpark with only a 1-game losing streak, that'll be a club record. Beltran fouls one back. I guess next ballpark they could try and christen with a win.
I'm going to miss that one.
I think
all right, if you don't mind.
Presumably that'll be a good 80 to 100 years from now.
I plan on being around.
I'm sure you do. You
cryogenically.
I was just about to say, him and Ted, line down the right field line foul. You know, some of us are just meant to be frozen in perpetuity. Not I.
Well, I don't know. After seeing Mrs. Robinson tonight at 86 years old, I don't think any of us would venture north of 80 because she looked beautiful. And we're not going to.
Not that way. Maybe Keith.
I'll be happy to make 75.
2-2 to Beltran in the dirt. Spiked that one.
This is a classic case of this young man, Perdomo, who's he's a young kid, kind of learning on the job. He's probably not ready to be here, but don't have a lot of arms. And they'll rather have him here and take a chance.
Never pitched above Double-A before this year as he walks Beltran. He was in the Cardinal organization. He was a Rule 5 pick this past winter by the Giants. The Giants offered him back to the Cardinals, had to pass him through waivers, and the Padres snagged him right at the end of spring training. So he's another guy that the Padres just scooped up late and threw into that bullpen, and they're just trying to shuffle through these guys and figure out who fits.
Boy, the scouts for the Padres must have been working overtime. Hey, you got anything out west? Yeah, I got a guy who throws hard.
Here's Jeremy Reed up for the first time. Took over for defense in the last inning.
Who's the guy that worked for the Angels that really learned on the job last year, and I think he's going to be really good this year? Is Arredondo? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Oh, yeah, the setup guy.
Yes. Right. He's a guy that learned on the job last year, and by the end of the year, he was quite effective.
There's a strike to Reed, 1-1. Brian Schneider waiting on deck. And Reed lines one to right. Coming on is Giles. That's the first out of the inning. So one away. Let's check out the results of our Toyota Text poll. We asked, other than Santana, who will win the most games this year, and it is the number 5 guy, Livan Hernandez, with a small edge.
Very interesting.
Are those fans front running?
I don't think so.
No, I think that they're going off what they've seen so far.
Yes.
Well, of all those guys, the largest pedigree is Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you.
Not you, Livan.
I told Keith when we were down in Florida, Ronnie, that it would be fascinating if instead of his normal number 61, Livan had gone with 71. It would have been the Keith inverse.
There you go.
You know what I'm waiting for? When El Duque was here, the bellman would always mistake our luggage. I'm waiting for that to happen. Didn't happen in Cincy. It didn't happen in Miami.
Double play ball to Rodriguez. Eckstein with the turn. 6-4-3 double play ends the inning. But the Mets tack on a run in the bottom of the 8th on Carlos Delgado's home run into the Pepsi porch. Second of the year for Delgado, number 471 lifetime. 3 outs to get for the Mets for their first ever win at Citi Field. you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Corona. Enjoy responsibly. By Sponge Tech, America's cleaning company. And by Bud Family Mets inaugural season sweepstakes. Just visit the Bud Family 24-pack Mets display at participating retailers for your chance to win sweet tickets and other great Mets prizes. Right after the game, join Chris Carlin and Darryl Strawberry tonight for all of the highlights, exclusive interviews, and Jerry Manuel's post-game reactions on Lincoln Mercury post-game live right after the game. And now after every Mets game, whether we're on SNY or Pix 11 or ESPN or Fox, no matter where the game is, post-game is on SNY after every game right here.
Are you telling me that Bobby O's taking a day off already, just like an old starting pitcher, as Sean Green comes in to finish up here in the ninth?
Well, you guys need 4 days off out of every 5. Right. Adrian Gonzalez leads off in the top of the ninth. Gonzalez 0 for 2 and a walk. Green trying to finish it off for Oliver Perez, who was the good Ollie tonight. 6 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Had his changeup working like we haven't seen before.
Just it was great to see him employ all of his pitches. That is going to be his equalizer.
Gonzalez lifts one down the left field line that'll slice and go foul.
We talked about it before. He owns left-handed hitters. So how are you going to get right-handed hitters out with everything coming into the right-hander? His fastball tends to want to move in. His slider wants to move into the right-hander, so they feel very inside conscious. So anything that's going down and away is going to be a difficult pitch.
Oliver can be a one-speed pitcher to left-handers because he throws hard slider, hard fastball. But with a right-hander, it's a lot like with John Candelaria. They're similar type pitchers, the old Pirate. And if he can develop that little, and it's a sinking change, Ronnie, that's a great weapon against the right-hander.
And it's also going to give him a weapon when he gets more and more confidence in it, where he's going to get himself a double play occasionally. He's going to get himself out of an inning, something that he's not able to do because he's a fly ball pitcher primarily.
Tonight he was able to keep his pitch count reasonable, 90 pitches in 6 innings. So a very encouraging start for Ollie. His next start will be in St. Louis. Outside to Gonzalez, 2-2.
You know, J.J. Putz was talking about it. It's very important to remember, when you have a split finger fastball, you've got to know how to use it also. You're not going to use it against a very patient hitter because they're not going to swing at it. You have to make sure you pick that guy in the lineup that you're going to be able to use it against, that you know if he recognizes fastball at all, he's swinging.
Gonzalez fouls it off.
You know, guys, we just saw a shot of J.J. Putz in the Met dugout, and remember, talked about that in Cincinnati when J.J. and Sean Green were waiting in the dugout for the game to end instead of going back to the clubhouse. I asked J.J. about it. He said that he learned it in the Seattle organization, and Arthur Rhodes really instilled in them to, hey, the game's not over, and you wait until the game is done. I said, isn't it a little strange for you? Because, you know, you're a closer. He said, I got to be honest with you, I am much more anxious on the bench watching than being out on the mound trying to close it out. But that's his thing, and apparently he will do that for the rest of the year.
Well, I was taught by the right people when I came here with the Mets.
3-2 to Gonzalez, drilled in the air to deep right field. Back goes Church near the wall, and it's out of here. Adrian Gonzalez has homered for the 2nd straight game at Citi Field. That's the 100th home run of Gonzalez's career, his 3rd this season, and it cuts the Met leads to 7-2. And whoever had the 100th home run ball of Adrian Gonzalez has just given it up. It has been thrown back onto the field.
I'm sure he'll take it.
Well, sinker ball over the middle. Oh, boy. Inner half. And made him pay.
John Hairston likes it.
Just cleared the Mo zone.
That's right.
That angled fence, I would have been interested to see what would have happened if that ball had hit that fence and where it would have gone.
Yes.
That's a strike to Chase Headley. You got that angle there with the diagonal orange line.
A little pinball action maybe out there.
Well, you have a little bit of that in Philadelphia out in left center field. And of course in San Francisco you've got those archways where the ball can go in any different direction. I was talking to Ryan Church about this, and he said the 2 parks this right field reminds him of the most are San Diego and San Francisco.
Well, here's the home run again. You can see that angle right in the Mo zone. And that, like Gary said, that ball's going to carry him off there and be very, very tricky.
Up and in, 2-2. Here's your IO pitch differential.
Well, when you're a sinker ball pitcher, you want to start it on the outside and run it off the plate. That one was one of those sinker where you hold on too long and it just straightens out, stays right in the middle of that plate.
And what it makes me, oh, nice
on
pitch.
the inside corner, strike 3 called. Got that sinker to bite, and that's the first out of the inning.
Came back over the inside corner. You know, it wasn't that much of a difference in the where Snyder set up on that sinker. I think Snyder was like Gary Carter with Sid Fernandez, just set up down the middle. Throw your sinker down the middle and it'll sink on the outside corner.
It's got to move at some point.
So 1 out in the top of the 9th. Here's Kevin Kuzminoff, 0 for 3 tonight, 1 for 8 in this series. 7-2 New York, 9th inning. A foul ball, that one clipped Schneider, 0-1.
Well, I think it gets his hand. Well, that's the strike 3 call on Headley. That ball inside. Schneider took that ball off the right hand, I believe. Boy, those things always seem to happen late in games for these catchers, don't they?
Chopper over the mound. Castillo hurrying in. Bobbles it. Does he have time? He does. Throws on Kuzminoff, 2 men down. A little juggling act by Castillo, but he stayed with it. So 2 out of the 9th. Padres down to their final out, and Nick Hundley coming up. Marlins have just added 2 in the top of the 9th in Atlanta. Florida now leading the Braves 7-4. Marlins trying to go to 7-1 on the year. Quite a start.
Look at that early magic feeling, don't they?
Andrew Miller started that game for the Marlins. Hundley takes ball 1.
He threw pretty well. He's that phenom they got from Detroit, of course, for the Cabrera and Dontrell Willis trade. He came over, and Cameron Maybin. Maybin's the everyday center fielder, and 6'6" left-hander Andrew Miller from North Carolina trying to move him in that young rotation.
Hundley hits a sharp shot down to right. David to his feet, the throw on a hop, not in time. Hundley, who runs pretty well for a catcher, beat that one out. Nice play by David Wright.
Beautiful, beautiful play by David. Nice backhand. Has time. The ball's hit hard. You know now you have time to set yourself. Nice. If you're going to give a pickup to your first baseman, throw the long hop. It's an easy pick for a first baseman to throw the long hop.
So now here's Luis Rodriguez, who's had a good night at the plate, 2 for 3, and has scored a run. Padres now with 6 hits in the game, and Rodriguez takes a strike from Green. John Green pitching the 9th inning, with the Mets building a bigger lead. Bobby Parnell pitched the 7th. JJ puts the 8th. Frankie Rodriguez getting a night off, if Sean can put it to bed. Off the mitt of Schneider. Hundley thought about going to second, and then thinks better of it, down by 5 runs. Who also pitched very well tonight, Mike Hampton for the Astros. Pitched shutout ball in Pittsburgh. And there is Frankie, just in case.
Well, we've seen this already with Jerry. He's not going to let any game slip away because you want to pitch into a safe situation. When it gets a little hairy, Rodriguez is coming in.
Got a 5-run lead with 2 out in the 9th inning. Popped up foul coming out of play. So Green 1 strike away from nailing this one down. Trying to get the Mets back to 500 for the season. Got Andrew Gonzalez out on deck to pinch hit. If Rodriguez can keep it going for the Padres. And Rodriguez stays alive. Luis Rodriguez has been a backup player for most of his career. Last 2 months of last season, with Khalil Green hurt, he played just about every day at shortstop for the Padres. Impressed them enough that they traded Green away, and now Rodriguez is their everyday shortstop. 1-2. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Sean Green puts on the finishing touches. Oliver Perez gets his first win of the year, and the Mets get their first ever win at Citi Field as they even up the series with the Padres and win it 7-2.
Well, I think the story of the game for me is really, the sloppy play by San Diego, but really it was Oliver Perez waiting for him to have one of those good Ollie games, and he was outstanding.